Thanks for joining us today. Us being me. Yeah, that's right. I usually have a co-host here, Blake Walley, Blake the eccentric. TV's Blake Walley. He's not here today. He is taking care of some issues that need taken care of. You know, that's a thing I think that people have learned. At least I hope it's something that people have learned since, say, 2019, 2020 with the pandemic. Being of a company and just like your life from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, it just belongs to somebody. That theory, that philosophy, that energy all got disrupted. There's a work-life balance. There's an educational balance because when you have children, you either teach them in your home, which means you can't be working, or you homeschool and you do work, or maybe you do side hustles. Maybe you work in the gig economy. Employers looking for people to seize possession of. That's a wonky phrase. I'm well aware of that. But it's almost like to get people as property. Maybe that's what this immigration thing is all about. By the way, my name is Brian Engelman. Thanks for joining. It's the Agree to Disagree show. It's Thursday, February 8th. I'm just off the top of my head, I'm having this thought and I'm trying to hash it out with you guys. And please leave your comments. I'll try to incorporate your comments into the show. I really, you always leave such interesting thoughts and information that's related to what we're talking about. And this really is a back and forth conversation. It's my favorite part about this. I guess if you would ever like to become a part of the show, I could send you the link, put it in the chat, let me know. I'll put you on the list, figure out how to do that. I don't usually take guests, but whatever. But I just wonder, because it seems like all of this mass migration, this intentional delivery system, when did this start? I mean, you can say it's been going on forever, but in like this organized way, in this specific thrust, I mean, this really is Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, George Soros, non-governmental organizations. You kick back money here, they fund them, they get their campaign, they bribe. So it's just in a circle, a cycle. And so maybe for the past 20 years, it's been an industry, but you just wonder, it's like, well, why? And I can't speak to Ronald Reagan when he was tricked. It's like, yeah, we'll build a wall. Just let's do amnesty first. And you're like, I don't know. The Democrats want more voters and the Republicans want more workers. Okay, let's just do the border next year. Nah, we're good. We want to keep this flowing and going. But it just makes you wonder, like, has the workforce, the hiring managers, have they lost the ability now to acquire humans as property in jobs where, they just kind of consume your entire life? You work your whole life. You don't have a work-life balance. You just ship your kids off. You're like, well, someone's got to pay the bills. I got to go to work. Here, lady who hates America and hates me and hates people like me and hates people who believe in what I believe in. Why don't you spend 8 hours a day indoctrinating this human to then get shipped back to me in God knows what condition? You know what it is? It's like a rental car. Have you ever had a rental car? Have you ever had a fun rental car? Maybe you give it a little bit more gas and see what it's made of. Maybe you hop a curb or you drive on the grass. Maybe you're a little, it's like renters versus owners. Look in a college town. The renters, I mean, sometimes they just don't take care of their property and they leave a mess everywhere. In cities, you can tell, in the same buildings, the same units, multiple people living under the same roof. Sometimes they will have all sorts of junk on their yard and they haven't mopped their steps. These are the renters. These are the people that don't care. They have no skin in the game. In fact, in able to vote, you used to have to be a landowner, because it's not just that You want only this 0.00001% to have anything. Now, I know that will happen with the kings and the upper echelons of all of these things. Wealth will accumulate in that top, the top 1%, says Bernie Sanders. But it's not so much that. I'll take your point. I'll concede that I understand what you mean, that yes, the wealthiest 1% get to accumulate all of the spoils. And okay, I get that to a certain degree. But when it comes to having skin in the game, the importance is you're a participant. You're at one with the process. You're on the same boat. So if the boat springs a hole in the bottom, you don't just kick back and go, I really, let's call the landlord. Wouldn't it be, I pay that 1% guy enough. He gets enough of my money. I'm not doing anything. It's not my problem. Whereas if you're on the same boat with people who own the boat, I know I'm mixing all these metaphors and analogies here, but you'll just grab a bucket and start finding a way to plug the hole and try to scoop the water out because you all sink together. And in America, you've had some people sinking, some people swimming, but you want people who are on the same team. You want your teammates to actually be your teammates. That's why you don't just let anybody into the locker room of your favorite football team. By the way, who are you rooting for? Question of the day, 49ers or the Chiefs, and why? But you don't just let anybody come into the locker room and start looking through your playbook and wandering through your facility. You screen people. You don't let people do that at a music festival. You don't let people do that at a movie theater. You don't let people do that at your kid's school. For the love of God, you don't let that happen. Why would you? Think about it. Why would you ever want random people floating around? So you just you put all this stuff together and you ask why. It's like they must want it. They must need a labor force that they can abuse. That's not a good thing. The other part of it is, for some reason, all those children who were indoctrinated for 8 hours a day by purple-haired people with piercings, telling them that everything about whatever used to be considered standard American fare, traditional values of trying to root for yourself and your family, your loved ones to succeed, like stay off drugs, don't have kids out of wedlock, and try to stay out of debt, and let's not commit crimes, and let's try to be a net positive to our community, try to volunteer and help clean up things, that help build things, help do stuff. Versus the exact opposite of all of that. What is the exact opposite of all of that? You could either be someone who doesn't participate in the process, or you're somebody that actively works to sabotage your efforts to do the right thing. And I say all of this to you because I had a conversation with somebody. I like this guy. I've known this guy for a while. I'm gonna try to make sure I don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like I'm saying anything to you that I wouldn't say to him and that I didn't say to him. But he and I, longtime friends, decades long, we have a severe disagreement. And we've hit that impasse. And that's really the impasse where the Agree to Disagree show was born, where the Agree to Disagree show had its genesis moment. In God, how long have we been doing this? 20? For maybe 12 years we've been doing this, roughly. But when you have a disagreement with somebody who you respect, who you care for, who you're friends with, you're cordial with, you got no particular. Was that on The Simpsons where Mo says like, I wish him no particular ill will. I wish him no particular ill will. That is such a Mo Sizlak, Mo the bartender, slimy way. But it's clever. It's clever in what you say and it's clever in what you don't. I wish him no particular ill will. But when you're trying to communicate with someone, whether it's someone you love or someone you're an acquaintance with or someone you actually don't, you should be able to reach a point in that conversation and say, look, I agree to disagree. You're not changing my mind. I'm not changing yours. And you should be able, maybe a couple more volleys, maybe finish up some thoughts that you were trying to finish, and then just kind of drop it. You need to drop it. And that was where I found myself. And twice I added a comment saying to this person who is libertarian in today's topic, Libertarians, I beg of you to take a side in 2024. Thank you for joining us on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed. Subscribe to us in all the places. Like us, thumbs up, subscribe, click the notification bell, please. Find us on Spotify and subscribe to the Agree to Disagree show, thenewamericanmedia.com. All the places, please, because we were blackmailed. We were, blacklisted. We were demonetized. We were shadow banned. Sorry, I was thinking blackballed, shadow banned, really. But Facebook took our account down. YouTube, took our monetization away. Facebook took my personal voice away during the last election. And we're going to talk about that today with the FBI's Elvis Chan. Does he deserve the harshest punishment possible for censorship? I'm going to say yes. I'll go ahead and give you a little teaser to that. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court, Mayorkas, Putin's puppy, Bukele, and Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky really screwed up with their justice system. We'll talk about those in a second, but you reach the impasse. And so we've been talking about politics, and I just, he's like, I really don't want to discuss this with you anymore. And I'm like, all right. I go, look, and I'm just paraphrasing now. Like, this isn't a gotcha to him. This isn't meant to make him feel, I don't know, to put him on blast or something and make him look stupid. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to set you right in the conversation. And I said something along the lines of, look, your voice is an important voice. You shouldn't sit this one out, because he will not support Donald Trump. His hardline libertarian stance is, I would dare I say, just about every major issue of the Democrat Party is antithetical to libertarians. The most totalitarian nonsense being thrown at us every single day is coming from the deep state Democrats and the rhinos. Remember, Republicans and Democrats are the same party. They're the same two wings of the same dirty bird. Former Governor Jesse Ventura from Minnesota, former wrestler and Navy SEAL. Remember, he famously talked about that. We'd go out in the ring as a professional wrestler, WWF at the time. I'd be the bad guy and he'd be the good guy, and we'd fight and they'd cheer and they'd boo and then they'd boo and then they'd cheer and somebody would win and whatever. And then we'd walk off. We'd hit the showers, change our clothes, sit down, and we'd have a steak dinner and a martini together. We'd cheers and we'd yuck it up because we're on the same team. We're just keeping the plebes, the plebeians, the riffraff. Let them have cake. Let them eat cake. Let them argue about their teams. Their teams. The Chiefs or the 49ers or the Republicans or the Democrats. Robble, robble, robble. And look, to make this fun, by the way, I do another sports show called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. If you want to find us on the group on Facebook, it's very active. It's probably my favorite thing, but it's so unimportant usually. It's like I have to come back to talk about the news because it's super important what's happening in the world right now. But I do that show, The Unhappy Hour. It's on YouTube and Spotify. Subscribe if you could. Thumbs up, like us. Because we got to grow these brands a little bit. I've been doing it, but it's time to double down, do more shows, do more content, get our interviews back. If you look on our YouTube channel for the New American Media, I mean, we've had so many incredible, interesting guests on the program. I mean, when you have multiple opportunities to talk to John McAfee, a very interesting person, and it's like you go, oh, well, someone would say, oh, well, John McAfee, wasn't he accused of this? Wasn't he accused of that? Wasn't he guilty of this? Wasn't he this kind of guy? And you go, I've heard all that stuff too. Some of it may be true, some of it might not be. I'm here to have a conversation. So with my buddy, let me backtrack to my buddy, the libertarian who doesn't want to pick a side and will not vote for one party or the other and says they're the same. I get that. I understand what Jesse Ventura says. But I do see a unique triangulation from that same party going at Donald Trump. And I saw a lot of successes in the first term, probably a higher batting average than I've ever seen on Biden, probably the lowest batting average I've seen. Obama, twice, very low batting average. They're very similar to Biden, except Biden's worse because this is the third Obama term. And Obama from the basement with the earpiece gets to kind of use Biden to do what he really wanted to do those first terms. But he wasn't quite able to because he would have destroyed his political clout and nobody would have bought his election or his reelection. But now they're just throwing Biden to the wolves, doing all the dirty stuff they could never get away with their first term. Donald Trump, in my opinion, has a better batting average than George W. Bush. Look at all those foreign affairs issues. We're attacked by what? Where did we go? We went into Iraq. I'm looking at the map here. Afghanistan. All these countries. But weren't these Saudis that attacked the United States? How much of a deep state component was involved? And when you say deep state, there's a lot of definitions of deep state. For the sake of what we're saying, let's just call them traitors to the country of America. People who may have a blood allegiance to this country and who worked in various roles of military and governments and corporations to actively try to make sure they get inside of our locker room and sabotage our team's ability to win and to succeed. But it's our job to have conversations. So when I got into this conversation with my friend, he just kind of said, like, look, let's just let it go. And I get that. But I responded something to what our mutual friend, our other friend, he's in the sports group. That was the reason I brought up the sports group. And we go back and forth. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, a Baker Mayfield fan. So I still root for Baker. When he went to the Panthers, I rooted for him on the Rams, and I'm rooting for him on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now because I decided I liked the guy. He won me over. I didn't like the draft pick initially. Thought he was a short, white, cocky quarterback who I didn't really want to try to lead our franchise after we dealt with Johnny Manziel doing that. Short, white, cocky quarterback. I just don't, I got bad vibes, but he won me over. So I follow him to other teams. And this mutual friend of my libertarian buddy and I, he says, well, why would you? I root for the Browns. That's it. I only root for the Browns. If you don't wear orange and brown, you don't matter. I'm like, look, I get that. I respect that. I understand that. Also, like, why wouldn't we want to root on something this weekend? Baker's playing the Lions. Whoever wins this game, I'm probably going to root for to win the Super Bowl. It didn't end up playing out that way because now it's the 49ers coming out of the NFC. So maybe my third favorite team in the conference, but now I'm rooting for the 49ers in the Super Bowl. But it's like, well, that's not your team. Why are you rooting for that team? The 49ers aren't your team. Okay. But I like the sport. I want to watch the game and the commercials and the whole package. I want to take it all in, all of it in. Why shouldn't I watch that and maybe root for a team? What changes that for people is gambling. It's just so interesting how omnipresent now, just on your phone, you can gamble on anything. State to state, they're all just letting you gamble. And the big question is it rigged? Is it as rigged as the WWE, the WWF? Is it as rigged as Jesse Ventura says it is? Is it as rigged as Donald? Because, by the way, I think Donald Trump had a better batting average than George W. Bush, as I was saying. Higher batting average than Clinton. Clinton had a better batting average than Obama, and obviously better than Biden, who has the worst. Then you go to Reagan. You go to George. What did I say? George. So now we're back to George H.W. Bush. He got into the first Iraq War. CIA. Now, what's all this information coming out about JFK? What happened to JFK? So it's important that we look at the deep state. And I want to, this is a good, I'll just bring this up here. One of these questions is about Scott Adams figuring out. Remind me to get back to the sports analogy with the Super Bowl, because that's the crux of what I'm getting at. But this is what I think is going on. Agree or disagree that Scott Adams figured out what's wrong with everything. I'm going to agree. In one post, you're not going to be able to get to everything. I understand that. I recognize that. But I think a lot of this is laid out. And I think why this is, I had traditionally been trying to stay away from this conversation with my libertarian friend. But I think it's becoming obvious, even more so than it always has been, and it always has been, that this is the time you have to get involved. To my mutual friend of my libertarian buddy who says the Browns aren't in the Super Bowl, I'm not rooting for a team. Well, I'm asking you to root for a team. I'm asking you to get off your couch. I'm asking you to participate. I'm going to do that because this is important. And I try to respect the boundaries of, nobody's going to change your opinion. But in the conversation with my libertarian friend, I said, fine, you got an important voice, but if you choose to sit this out, that's on you. I'll try to remember to not talk about the 2024 election with you. And then he responded back, well, blah, 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 and you're wrong about this, and what I'm saying about this, and Trump that, and he's not that. Okay. And then I once again said, all right, well, whatever. That's incorrect in my view. And I wish you would participate, but I will try to stop talking about the 2024 election with you. And then he chimed in again. Yeah, well, Trump this and Trump that. And once again, I'm not reading it verbatim, but he continued the conversation. And then he got annoyed with me and shut down the chat. That's not productive. He's like, well, you brought it up. I'm like, look, you asked me to stop it. I stopped talking twice and you kept going. So you can't get mad at me for that. But that's what we're supposed to be able to do as humans, is agree to disagree. You have a thought, you discuss it. And when you really reach that impasse, it's like, you're starting to annoy me right now. I called him triggered multiple times. You want to trigger somebody that's conservative or Republican or libertarian, tell them that they're triggered. Not that he reacted in that way to me, perhaps. Definitely intended to make that point, because it's like, oh, it's too touchy to talk about. It's like everything's too touchy to talk about. If I walked on eggshells all day, I wouldn't have any interesting conversations. And that's why you interview Putin. That's why you interview John McAfee. That's why you interview. Doesn't matter. Talk. Well, you can't give them a platform. Piss off. I don't take directives from you. I have a First Amendment in this country, and I talk to the people that I want to for whatever reasons. And especially when I'm being lied to, especially when someone's trying to pull over some bullshit, especially when someone's trying to harm me economically, financially, or harm my health, or force me to do something that I don't want to do, like a date rape, like you're participating in I don't know, maybe an Oprah Winfrey style casting couch situation with Harvey Weinstein. I said Harvey Firestein. Harvey Weinstein. Same voice, though, I think. I'm not going to do the full voice because it will tear my vocal cords up. But there's something going on that's worth having difficult conversations about. There's something happening where it's like, so I'll drop it with this dude. But, you got to be able to ask permission to speak freely. And if they say no, you got to give them some of that space. So, for what it's worth, fine. But like I did twice try to stop the conversation. But, this is why I think this is important. And this is why I think this is something Scott Adams says on X. He put this out. I'll read it to you verbatim. But this is kind of why this is more than your usual, I'm going to throw my vote away on a third party candidate. I'm a Browns fan. I'm not even going to watch the Super Bowl. I don't even care who wins. Yeah, but why not put $5 down on it? Root for something. I'm not a 49er fan. I'm definitely not rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I loathe the Chiefs, especially because of the dirty helmet-to-helmet hit that Dan Sorensen had on the Cleveland Browns to keep us out of the AFC Championship game with Baker Mayfield during the COVID season. I'm still salty with the Chiefs and the NFL about not calling that blatant helmet-to-helmet hit. that Baker Mayfield's touchdown pass to Hollywood Higgins bumped through the end zone in a fumble through the end zone for a touchback. We lost the game by less than 7 points. That one play determined the whole game. And we were in the right, and the refs blew the call, either intentionally or unintentionally. So you know what? How about that? Maybe I'm not even rooting for something. I'm just rooting against something. I'm going to choose to root against the Chiefs, the annoying girlfriend, wife, the annoying wife, the annoying Patrick Mahomes commercials, the annoying Travis Kelce, the annoying Travis Kelce Pfizer commercials, the annoying Travis Kelce Bud Light commercials, the annoying Taylor Swift cutaways, the annoying Taylor Swift endorsement of Joe Biden, the annoying commercials. You're the who are they? State Farm commercial. Every third commercial is one of these Chiefs players. I don't want you to sell me that jab. I don't like what you did, Kelce. I appreciate. Hey, look, you're from Cleveland area, greater Cleveland area. You know, that's cool. Congrats. And, whatever. But like, bro, I don't like people shilling for what you're doing right now. Like, I feel like you're selling your soul, buddy. I'm disappointed you took this path. But here's your reward. Here's the lady, Taylor Swift. And let's see if they can work in this big Biden endorsement. Get the Swifties registered because abortions, yay! This is the best we can do as a society. Is this really the best we can do? And look, the Supreme Court has ruled. You go to your state's a wide open, everything goes place, have at it. It's as libertarian a procedure, as libertarian a process, as small government, as the founders might have intended. It's not that the Supreme Court says, yeah, Roe versus Wade, everybody gets an abortion. You go, no. That's a states' rights issue. That's not something our government, you're lucky because we're supposed to rule on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And life is the very beginning part of that. You're lucky we're kicking it back to the states. And that's not even my personal opinion on it. That's just my personal legal opinion on it. So do with that what you will. But maybe in the Super Bowl, you root against something more than you root for something. And that's what I'm telling my libertarian buddy. I'm trying to tell him, root against something. Even if I said, didn't you like that there were for 4 years we didn't get involved in a foreign conflict? He's like, yeah, I will give him that. I said, do you see what Mayorkas and Biden are intentionally doing to our southern border and all of the problems that are being created from this? Aren't you against that? He's like, yeah, I'm against that. I'm like, but Biden is for that. Can't you root against him? It's like, well, I'm libertarian, and I'm really putting words in his mouth, so that's not fair. But I'm just trying to sum up some of these main. We're playing tennis with ideas. I say this, he says that, and I'll misremember some of this, but take the point. And at the end of the day, I just said, look, there's something different here. Republicans and Democrats are on the same side of way too many of the issues that they're getting completely wrong because they're in on it together. Trump is not. That's why they're trying to kneecap him. That's why they're trying to take him out. You have got to consider getting off of the sidelines and participating. He took issue with that. And he's like, well, I'm not on the sidelines. I'm participating. You're the one who's supporting the party that violates this and this and this. I'm like, bro, that is such a cop-out. It's such a cop-out. And I've had this problem with libertarians for a long time. It's like, said individual does not meet my purity test. Said individual is not a big L libertarian. Said individual had the wrong opinion on this issue, and they can tell you 30 things. What they won't bother talking about is the 70 super important things that they got right. They will focus and fixate on this person not performing. To you religious folks out there, for example, like Jesus Christ, perfection. Or to you football fans, performing like Patrick Mahomes, performing like Tom Brady, better yet, performing like Otto Graham, the greatest of all time quarterback from the Cleveland Browns, went to 10 straight championships and he won 3. He won 7. He was 7-10. He lost 3. 7-3, 10 championships in a row. Automatic Otto, they called him. Lost to history. But for his era in the 50s and 60s, is worth remembering. Look him up, especially this Super Bowl week. But I'm just begging my libertarian friend, get off the sidelines, get off the couch, jump into the game. And we have a disagreement about it. And he's saying, I'm in the game, I'm just supporting libertarians. I go, Throw your vote away, like Kang and Kodos on The Simpsons. I reference The Simpsons a lot. Go ahead, throw your vote away on a third party. And they're getting whipped by the alien. Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos. Kang and Kodos. Because it was, candidates running for president wearing masks, wearing monster masks. They're aliens wearing human costumes, rather. That's the best way to say that. So he's just taking the high ground. He's like, look, I didn't vote for Kang or Kodos. I'm like, yeah, but look, man, I think Kang and Kodos are on the same team. You're voting for this option, but there's also this other option right here. That's the guy that was president for 4 years, and he did not get us into another foreign conflict. As soon as Biden comes in, I mean, it's popping off in, where is it? Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, East China Sea area. I got this map. I like to kind of look at it and helps my brain understand. Let's talk about the Gaza Strip. Wow, it seems like those Abraham Peace Accords. Didn't you like that, friend? Libertarian friend? Well, I mean, I'll concede that some of that was good. And yeah, you're right. We didn't get involved in a new foreign war. Okay. The debacle in Afghanistan. This is what they want. They want all that equipment floating around so that we can have more bad guys, so that we can buy more equipment to then go after those bad. It's just, what in the world are we doing? We're playing a game of chess with live people. The stuff going on in Ukraine is absurd. Just throwing these humans into a meat grinder, shooting them out into caskets, into body bags. And for the love of God, you go to war as an absolute last resort. I mean, this Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George Soros wing of the deep state Democrats. And you can put in your Cheneys, your Romneys, your McCains, McConnells. There's plenty of rhinos here. But they have been playing pin the tail on Russia for years. I don't think General Wesley Clark said that that's one of the X amount of nations they plan to conquer in X amount of years. That famous Wesley Clark video. Remind me in the comments if he did. Oh, Trump's a Putin puppet. Trump only won because Russia rigged the election. That was Hillary Clinton with Perkins Coie in the Democrat Party creating the Steele dossier to frame him so that they could get fake FISA warrants to spy on his campaign, to sink him, and they still couldn't sink him. And then you saw what had to happen in 2020 just to get him out of there. Well, there's no stopping what's happening in 2024 if we can count the votes appropriately. Because in 2020, there's a lot of people that think, there's numbers that we saw, but how many of those were accurate? That is an ongoing question. And you're seeing it in court cases. You saw it in Georgia. They changed. In Georgia, they changed the votes in real time in a courtroom. Where's your evidence? Look, do a search. Don't do it on Google, though, because they won't show it to you. Don't do it on Google. Yandex is pretty good. Yandex is a search engine. DuckDuckGo isn't even that good anymore. But I'm just trying to convince my libertarian friend that something is different here. Let me read you what Scott Adams said. And thank you for being with me during this opening monologue that I have a lot to say. And I know I'm kind of jumping around in the story like it's Pulp Fiction or Memento or something. But I got a lot on my mind. And like this conversation happened today. And it's really tying all these stories together. So I will wrap this up. And I'm going to deliver you a quick dose of the news, kind of going through our Twitter feed. We're at American_media_. Please follow us, subscribe to us, all the things. We're on Patreon as well. If you want to help independent media, patreon.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. You can subscribe to support us, and I would greatly appreciate that. But this is something, I think we have different tiers on there. I know we have the $5 a month, but I think I just added like the angel investor amount of like $10,000 a month, something for $1,000 a month, something for the Netflix. What I call it, I called it the streaming service amount or something like that. And I looked up whatever Netflix was, like 15 for just $15 a month. You too can help an independent journalist So I haven't checked if that's up online or not, but leave me a comment if you go to the Patreon and let me know. But I mean, I would love to get some more fully funded aspects to the New American Media here. Once again, this is a reoccurring theme about doubling down and tripling down right now and making sure that we're giving you more consistent product and we're boosting the revenue back so that we can reinvest it into the company and keep trying to highlight issues that are important and being misrepresented by the lying legacy media. We do our best to teach you discernment. I don't have any particular agenda other than trying to figure out what's going on, trying to fix as many problems for as many people at the same time without making things worse. That's what we're trying to do here at the New American Media. So Scott Adams put this out, and I found it to be very interesting. He says, I finally figured out what's wrong with everything. It's a system problem. The introduction of Trump into the system or systems broke almost everything, and in multiple ways. The fake news created a white supremacist hysteria, which led to the Fine People hoax and the George Floyd hoax, which led to the massive DEI, which led to massive systemic incompetence in all of our systems at once. Add wokeness and cancellation, and we can't discuss the issue, much less fix it. That's a system problem. The corrective mechanism, free speech, has been removed. I'm going to jump in here and just remind you, I'm going to get to this David, what's the guy's name? Chan, the FBI person who was working to censor things. And that really is a theme for today. It's about Amazon trying to censor what options you have as books. It's about Hillary Clinton trying to censor Tucker Carlson's right to go speak to whoever the hell he feels like talking to, just because he's trying to pin the tail on Putin. These ridiculous theories. Today's episode is mainly about censorship and what they're trying to do, what they've done in the past, and what we need to do moving forward. So stay tuned for that story. But back to the Scott Adams post. He said the corrective mechanism, free speech, has been removed. On top of that, the Trump experience has made it clear all of our government systems are corrupt. They probably always were, but as long as we didn't notice, things limped along. Okay, but now we notice. Now we don't accept the science that we know is corrupt. We don't accept the omnibus bills that we know are corrupt. We don't accept the foreign wars that look sketchy. We don't accept elections we can't fully audit. Let me repeat that one more time in honor of Rush Limbaugh for those of you in Rio Linda, California. We don't accept elections that we can't fully audit. Don't tell me, oh, you have proprietary rights over the source code. If we can't check your source code, run your source code, demand and make sure that your system isn't even internet capable, despite the fact that they're logging in and out, allegedly. Votes can be changed in person. What do they say? All with just using a pen? Paper ballots, citizen identification, citizen identification cards, same-day voting, auditable voting. That's how you trust a system. That's how you look at what Bukele did. And I'll mention him quickly running through the stories in a minute. But how did he win his election in El Salvador? What do they say, 85%, 87%, 89%? I mean, you're almost in Saddam Hussein 100%. Kim Jong-un 100% voter approval rates. I mean, you're getting close to that. Let me let my cat out. Give me 1 second here. But you're up in that level. Come on. All right. Love the guy, but he needed to get out there. But how did he win? It's because you had auditable ballots. It was in person, and all the poll workers had a picture of your photo ID. And if you either matched or you didn't, they didn't send ballots to random addresses. No mail-in ballot. No mail-in. None, ever. Single day voting. If they can do it in El Salvador, you can do it in America. We always have until 2020. Actually, that's kind of interesting. We usually have a runner at the bottom of our screen. How do I get back to that? because it usually says go to cisa.gov/rumor control for countervailing views. There they go. Because they want your countervailing views. They want us as countervailing views. They want to make sure that you consider their perspective, which is every election in the beginning of time, from time immemorial until today, has been rife with opportunity for fraud, desire for fraud. But in 2020, that was the one time in every election ever that there was probably no desire for fraud, no opportunity for fraud, and certainly the courts didn't approve, that they didn't conclude that any fraudulent activity took place anywhere. If you want to buy that, go to cisa.gov/rumor control. But that's the level of censorship. That's the sword of Damocles hanging over my head right now. We have to say such things like that. Should we want to continue to exist in the YouTube universe? We are. YouTube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Subscribe. 1,400 videos over 12 years. It's a lot of great content. But we've also created a parallel channel on Rumble. Rumble.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Follow us. Subscribe, please. We need more people over there. Click some videos and let them play. We need some hours to accumulate so we can enable the monetization again. I'm telling you, up until a couple of years ago, all this stuff was humming along, and then we were targeted. Much like Tucker Carlson is being targeted today. On a different level, of course. But we certainly were noticed. There's good people and bad people. I'd say by bad people, because all we're trying to do is figure out what's happening and tell you what's happening. Only a bad person would lie to you about what's happening or not want you to know what's happening. Never trust someone like that. But let me continue here on the Scott Adams post, because I do have a lot of stories to get to. But I've really enjoyed this open format. And in the comments, let me know. I mean, are you a regular? Okay. First off, once again, a reminder: if you just joined us, tell me who you want to win the Super Bowl, the 49ers or the Chiefs, and why do you want them to win? Second question would be, are you a regular listener to the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media? And if so, have you enjoyed this different format at the beginning, or do you like more to the point, deliver, bang, 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 all of the news as tight as possible? Because I know there's a time and a place for both. I'm well aware of that. And we've been experimenting with YouTube Shorts videos, just 60 seconds, bursts, and just hit story really quick. But I've enjoyed this opening monologue because I am now... It's a different dynamic where it's just one person doing a show, and I haven't done a lot of shows solo recently. But really, all the stories that I'm talking about, they're jumping into this ongoing monologue that I didn't type out. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head with it. So that's my second question. Are you a regular listener? And if so, what do you think of this extended monologue that's including all the stories of the day, just kind of in a different manner, out of order, like Memento or Pulp Fiction? I'd love to get your feedback. I don't know that it matters, because, I'm trying to do the show that's authentic to me and that feels right for me. And Rick Rubin said that, the famous music producer, Beastie Boys and Jay-Z. I mean, a million artists have worked with Rick Rubin. He said the audience doesn't matter. And that's such a counterintuitive thing to say, but what he means is the audience doesn't matter. If the artist is creating a craft that they feel good about, like they feel they need to express, the audience will find it. There will be, but here's the problem with like the New American Media and other places. YouTube pushes you down in the algorithm. They take your monetization away. They don't put you up in the recommended feed anymore. Facebook limits your reach, limits your posts, hides you, flat out deletes your content. We've had several YouTube videos flagged. Conversation with Dylan McDermott at the Autism Speaks charity event in Los Angeles, because he dared to say you need to question everything. It was probably because of the way the person asked the question about the V word, and mentioned, what if harm occurs? And he says, I think it's important that you should question everything. That video was literally taken down by Google, Alphabet, ABC, whatever the hell they're called. YouTube. Google, Alphabet, YouTube. Because his answer was, I think it's important that we should be able to question everything. For the love of God, this censorship has gotten no better. It's gotten a little better because Elon Musk is holding it down at X, if you trust Elon Musk, which, he's done. You cannot deny he's done a lot of great things, but can you trust him? I say trust no one. Just trust me each day with continuing to score wins in the correct column. Score points on this column, and I'll continue to have you on my team. I trust him as far as I can throw him. Vivek. Oh, Vivek. Is he on the team? It's like, well, he says all the right things, but he's a plant. He's World Economic Forum. You go, he's addressed that. You can either accept what he said or not, but how many wins in the right category on the right side of the issue, the articulable policy positions that somebody needs to put a smart, thoughtful, polished, neutral position forward where, Trump might say it like he's a New York construction worker. Might be a little crude. It might be a little crass. But look, Vivek's doing a lot of good things. He's saying a lot of the right thing. And he's saying it in a way that you don't have to defend. You don't have to, and once again, Scott Adams, who I'm trying to finish this thought here with, he said he likes Trump, but he's very expensive. He's so tired of having to defend him and explain away some of the mistakes he's made and the things that came out wonky. And he said this, but it didn't mean that. And you're twisting it's just, but with Vivek, you don't have to keep doing that because he doesn't put himself in that position for misconstruing what he had to say. Misconstruction. I'm like, that's not a word. Would I try it in a game of Scrabble? Maybe. Misconstruction. But anyway, look, I'm going to wrap this up and just hit the headlines. But if you like what we are and what we're doing, click like and subscribe, all that stuff. But back to Scott Adams, he said, now we don't accept the science that we know is corrupt. We don't accept the omnibus bills we know are corrupt. We don't accept the foreign wars that look sketchy. We don't accept elections we can't fully audit. We don't trust the news for good reason. We don't trust our intelligence services to not be agents of one party. And we see the Justice Department's weaponized. While all of that happened, Soros found a way to take control of all American systems via funding of non-government entities and integrating them into American systems. But at the head of the snake is the fake news and fake science. There is no correcting mechanism. The X platform is the only counterforce, and that's why the crooks are trying to take it out, and Musk at the same time. So I found that to be fantastic. Very well written. I think I shared a couple of others on that point. Well, anyway, I just want to share that with you because this is what I was trying to articulate to my libertarian friend. I said, there are a lot of things happening right now. And we know deep state Democrats are on the wrong side of just about every important issue here. So that being said, please, would you consider getting off the couch and participating? He just said, look, me voting libertarian is participating. You're the one that's voting for bad stuff. And I said, for the love of God, man, that's like rooting for the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl. They're not in it. They got beat in the first round by C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. We're not in this. And until the libertarians can actually show me something, until you can actually, I don't know, get more than 10%, 20%, 30%. Spare me that your 1.5% is something that's noble. It meets my purity test. I don't have to sully myself by merely voting against Joe Biden. I would never do something as foolish as voting for Trump. Trump's not perfect. I only vote for perfection. It's like, well, perfection ain't in it, buddy. Perfection is not in the Super Bowl. My Cleveland Browns are not in the final dance. I'm asking you to make a selection between the two choices you have. I have 7 choices. There's the Green Party. Did you know that RFK Jr. might run? None of that matters right now. I get your point. I've been there. I voted for Gary Johnson. I voted for Ron Paul. I get it. I've been there. But this is not the time. These deep state Democrats have gone so far, like Fonzie jumping the shark, when that was the moment things got so absurd and then the series went into decline. America is damn near in decline right now. In deep trouble. And I'm just asking him to participate in this. I know he doesn't care. Like my mutual friend, I only root for the Browns. I don't care who plays in the Super Bowl. Nope. I'm not putting $10 on it on my app, on my phone, my MGM app. I'm not going to do it. And I don't care who wins. All right. I'm asking you to care. Maybe for the first time in several elections. Can you please care about the top 2 choices? Can you please participate? Find me 2 policies that the Democrats are getting right. And I'll tell you that it's the same. Doesn't matter who wins. It's wrestling. They're on the same team. And I agree that the Romneys, the McCains, the Cheneys are the same as the Pelosi's, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens. All of it. Same stuff. Same uniparty. But I think it's different. And I think it's important that you participate. So I'm begging libertarians, can you at least, look, I know you can talk about red flag laws, bump stocks. I got it. Those are the 2 dumbest things. Trump, that's at the top of the list, but he got a lot of stuff right. And putting some Supreme Court justices in there like Clarence Thomas. You will not even have the remote possibility of anything reasonable if Biden gets in there. All you're going to choose from is like a Kagan, a Sotomayor, Ketanji Brown Jackson. I think I said that name right. I'm not trying to get it wrong. Ketanji Jackson Brown, well, the newest one. Now I get where especially John Roberts appears to be compromised, a part of the Clinton Bush deep state, a plant. But you kind of have 0% chance of getting any Supreme Court justice in there that's going to get the Second Amendment right, the First Amendment right. These are key elements. The Fourth Amendment right, Fifth Amendment, 10th Amendment. There's a lot of key components. And man, it feels like natural born citizen really needs to be cleared up. I keep hearing back and forth opinions on that matter. We really need to kind of get some clarity on what a natural born citizen is. I believe, am I phrasing that right? Natural born citizen. The people who are eligible to become president. If there's a slight disagreement, we should probably figure it out. But I just don't see much improving. I see massive catastrophe if we continue on this path. And so I'm just begging all libertarians to consider voting for the guy that's been so uniquely persecuted, because it doesn't seem like he's on their same team. Oh, they'll overlap plenty. He's a businessman. He makes deals. He's not a complete fool, and he's not completely squeaky. Okay. But I'm asking you to jump in and participate in what's happening. So let's jump into the news here, talking about the Donald Trump 2024 re-election bid. Agree or disagree that the Supreme Court needs to unanimously shut down, the word was unanimously shut down, I didn't quite get it the first time around, shut down the Colorado election interference. Agree or disagree? I'm going to say yes. Do I expect them to be unanimous? I mean, they should. But the reality is there's no point in what's going on. I mean, the point is to try to kneecap Donald Trump. But the reality is there's no basis for any of this stuff. It's beyond absurd what they're trying to do. And there comes a time where you need to step up and put the adults back in the room again. And this is what the Supreme Court's looking at right now. Here it is, the New American Media. We got a new graphic made with the American flag upside down because it's flying that way. as a symbol, as a symbolic gesture to show that we are a nation in distress. Like imagine a boat with this upside down. It's like, this is a boat in distress. And sadly, on this current path that we're on, things are under distress right now. But follow us. We're at American_media_ right here. So it says, from sports to spirituality, comedy to Congress, and freedom to firearms, seeking truth, challenging dogma, and having fun. Join the mostly civil conversation. All right, so here's the live feed. That's nice to see that that's going through. I like that. That's weird. That's so meta. Leave it on the screen for a second to see the screen watching us watch the screen. That's pretty cool. Okay. So many stories to talk to you about. Let me just scroll through. This is Donald Trump. Let me just kind of mention this thing up. This is Donald Trump reacting. I'm trying to pause this and reset it. Responding to the Supreme Court oral arguments on removing him from the Colorado ballot via the 14th Amendment. Here we go.
In watching the Supreme Court today, I thought it's a very beautiful process. I hope that democracy in this country will continue, because right now we have a very, very tough situation with all of the radical left ideas, with the weaponization of politics. They weaponize it like it's never been weaponized before. It's totally illegal, but they do it anyway. And it has to stop. Every one of the court cases that I'm involved, every single one, civil, whether it's the attorney generals or the district attorneys. You look at Fon in Georgia. They had many meetings with the White House and with the DOJ. They went there, 8-hour meetings. That was all staged. That was a phony hoax. And now you look at it and it is a phony hoax. And hopefully that case will be dismissed in short order. It's a disgrace to this country. But they work together with the Justice Department and the White House. And I'm not supposed to do that. As you see, it comes out of the White House. It comes out of Biden. It's election interference, and it's really very sad. I thought the presentation today was a very good one. I think it was well received. I hope it was well received. You have millions of people that are out there wanting to vote, and they happen to want to vote for me or the Republican Party, or whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it. But I'm the one running, and we are leading in every poll. We're leading in the local polls, in the state polls, and we're leading in the swing state polls, and we're leading very big in the national polls. So it's been a very great honor.
So it's time for the adult to step back in the room and try to make sense of what's happening. This is unprecedented behavior. This really is. You never thought you'd live to see it. By the way, speaking of live to see it, let me click on the chat. I'm sorry, I am all out of sorts. Jane is here. Dreamer's here. What's up, everybody? Man, sorry I didn't get to you. Okay, I just want to go through some of these comments real quick, and then I'll continue about Trump. Facebook user says, as a landlord, I can definitely agree. Yeah, renters don't care. They have no skin in the game. So when you think about life, liberty, and property, and you think about, it was only rich white landowners. They're so racist and evil. It's like these were people that had skin in the game. They cared about their community succeeding. The people that care should kind of get to vote, and their opinions should be listened to, aside from someone that's just going, gimme. Yeah, you did too good. I blame you for my life problems. I've had all these bad things happen to me. It's your fault. I want. And that's what the Democrats do. They take the people that aren't doing well, and they just try to convince them of all this toxic that they force feed them. What is that in Clockwork Orange where the eyes are held open? Maybe this will be when they auto-generate the thumbnail. Oh, by the way, for those of you watching, listening on Spotify on the podcast, I held my eyes open like the toothpick scene or whatever that is from A Clockwork Orange, and they force feed you all this propaganda. But the Democrats, the dirty deep state Democrats, they just convince people everything is tribal politics. It's about man and woman. It's about white and black and Asian and Latino. It's about Islam and Christian and Judaism. You know, it's just like taking the 32 teams in the NFL. You just pit every team against each other. But then it's just like, it's their fault. We want more taxes. We need to go get them. Like that's not a healthy dynamic to lead a country. There should be some level of, charitable participation. We can debate that on another day. But what things have turned into is something that the founding fathers couldn't even imagine. But yeah, the concept, don't think about it as wealthy landowner. It's just like someone that cares. You're equal owners in the thing. You're going to take care of it. If 10 of you say, look, I got $10,000 in the bank, or if 10 of us chip in, we could mutually own this sports car. We'll get $100,000, get a McLaren or something. I don't know what. I know those are millions, I think, but it's like we'll all chip in on it together, and we'll use that as an asset. We think in 10 years that thing will be worth a bunch, so we'll pay the maintenance costs, and we'll each get to take it out on a weekend, and we'll just kind of we'll share it. Okay, well, those people have a vested interest in driving the speed limit, parking away from where a shopping cart could hit it in the parking lot. All of these things, regular maintenance, oil changes, tire rotations. But if you got a rental car from the airport, take off, man. What was that, a curb? Oh. And I'm not saying I drive like an idiot, but I'm also not saying that I didn't get a $9.95 daily deal rate from Hertz, and I didn't go from Los Angeles to Vegas, and that all of the slow traffic was in the left lane and all the fast traffic was in the right lane. And for 3, 4, 5 hours through the desert night, the desert sky peppered with shining, glimmering, diamond-like constellations afar, that I wasn't part of an amazing caravan that made that trip a lot faster than you might have expected. But that's the difference between renting and owning. Obviously, if you have a share in it, you're going to care about it. Otherwise, if you leave that fancy $100,000 car up at the grocery store, put up a sign, go, hey, free joyrides. Good luck, pal. So who do you want voting? People that care about the car or people that want to take it for a joyride? So who's this? Bonnie Figure says, hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion. Here, let's read it up. Promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed. Thank you so much. That's so nice. Hi, Jane. Thanks for participating. Dreamer, what's up? Dreamer asks, if you have all bad candidates, then maybe throwing away a protest vote isn't the worst thing in the world. Now it's not the time. Thank you. That is such a great point. Damn it. Thank you for bringing that up. That's why I appreciate your comments and thoughts. Once again, this is a tennis match. You and I, we're playing a game of Wii tennis. By the way, I was captain of my tennis team. Did you know that? Player of the week for my school news, or for the big city newspaper in Cleveland. That was awesome. But anyway, we're playing tennis now. If you had an election where it was Mitt Romney versus Obama, look, now we know who Mitt Romney is. Maybe we always did. Maybe we always knew about McCarthy, like Scott Adams was saying. But it wasn't broken too much. And it limped by, and we just, whatever. But yeah, in a Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, I think in that one, I don't think I even voted for Romney. I think I threw it away that time. Because I did vote for Gary Johnson. Once again, if you go back in our catalog on The New American Media, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. If you scroll back, we have an Odyssey channel, Odyssee, I think. Odyssey channel. It's backed up all of the YouTube channel if everything disappears. I wish Rumble would let me port all the videos in. I'd love to populate it. But we interviewed Gary Johnson, and I thought he was a great option at that point. What year was that? They all start to blur together. because you had McCain and Obama. I remember I voted against Obama. I didn't vote for McCain. I voted against Obama. I felt like I knew enough about who he was, what he represented, who raised him, who indoctrinated him, who he reported to. I felt like I had a clue when he said we're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. I kind of had a hunch where he was going with that. Maybe it was in 2012 then that I voted for Gary Johnson. When did I vote for Ron Paul? I'm telling you, I apologize. It all blurs together. But you're right. This isn't a year where they're all bad candidates. Dreamer, how would you say to your libertarian friend, how would you make that point directly about, I guess I'm assuming that you're saying that Trump is not a bad candidate because now it's not the time. How would you say it's different, and why is it important? And why isn't this a year to waste your vote? I'm telling you, the purity tests on these people, it's just so, and I tried complimenting him. Like, you were a very important voice. Like, you're way too smart to sit this one out. Like, oh, I'm not sitting it out. You're sitting it out. You're sitting it in. You're participating in the bad stuff. I am not going to anyway, you get what I'm saying. But yeah, I don't think it's the year to do that either. I just don't. So Donald Trump, it is a Supreme Court right now. Let me just fly through. I think I'm going to do this a little bit out of order because I tweeted it out of order. But that was Donald Trump talking about the Supreme Court. I'll just skim through some of these. You can follow us at American_media_. Coach Tommy Tuberville says this morning, I was proud to take a stand for President Trump and for democracy outside the Supreme Court. The left's witch hunt has gone on long enough. Stop this attack on our democracy. It's a republic, by the way. And let the people decide in November. That's a great sentiment. Enough is enough. That's why, in my conversation with my libertarian friend, enough is enough, dude. You got it. I need you to jump in, please. The state of Ohio is going to count. And you know what? And imagine if you did single day paper ballots, no ballot harvesting, signature verification. I wonder how many blue cities would instantly flip. How many blue states would instantly flip? I wonder how many of these votes are actually legitimate. Because you just wonder, how could El Salvador vote for crime and chaos? They don't. If you have an honest election, look what people will always do. It just gives you the suspicion. And if you can't verify, and if it doesn't pass the smell test, what kind of validation do they think there is? Just because you repeat the word insurrection 45 times, it's not like 3 times in the mirror. If you say Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times, Bloody Mary will appear. Insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. Senator Marsha Blackburn says, I went to the Supreme Court this morning to show my support for President Trump. The left's nearly decade-long witch hunt to take down Trump must end. Let the American people decide our next president. I'm just going to check the what's breaking here. Make sure we have the most up-to-date thing on the Supreme Court in case something has occurred since we started this. But yeah, also Rose City Antifa is now blocking the road outside of the United States Supreme Court with a Remove Trump banner. Capitol Police are there, and of course they're just allowing Antifa to block the road. Is this an insurrection? Is that an insurrection? Good question. Best Supreme Court quote just now by Justice Kagan. The question that you have to confront is why a single state should decide who gets to be president of the United States. She's not on the right side of issues very often. Paid protesters wearing matching outfits are each holding a single letter in front of the U.S. Supreme Court that spells out Remove Trump. Today's Supreme Court is reviewing what Colorado did. Their decision to remove Trump from the ballot. And I wish we had more of this. This is such, agree or disagree. It is time to get more items fast-tracked through the Supreme Court, more so than ever. Hawaii, what they did, trying to ban guns. Jamie Raskin trying to put something forward saying you can't have militias. It's literally in the Second Amendment. about the militia. That's a trained group of people. It's like any football game. Like, don't you want a team that knows what plays you're running, how to work the equipment, what the rules are? That's training. That's competency. This war on competency has to stop. That's a pretty good way to describe it. It's a war on competency and ability. Yeah, so this is Laura Loomer saying, where are the House GOP lawmakers? Why are none of them in front of the Supreme Court today standing in solidarity with Trump? This is a terrible optic for the Republicans. The Democrats are completely controlling the media narrative and message on this today. I mean, look. I'm reading Marsha Blackburn and some of these people, but yeah, these are just solitary tweets. Like, where's the live presence at the Supreme Court? This is a big deal. And all these Republicans that are willing, like Ronnie D, Nikki Haley, if they're not in on some really clever plan here, trust the plan kind of stuff. If they're not in on that, then we know what they're against, and they're against the regular people. By the way, here's a great story that I'm not going to get to today, but I'll put this out. This is Patrick Bet-David talking about, he believes Trevor Bauer deserves a second chance in Major League Baseball. What a yes. Talk about a man being accused and being found guilty unless proven everything backwards about that. Everything backwards about that. Cleveland Indians fan here, so definitely following that story. But the Trevor Bauer story echoes the Donald Trump story so clearly. It's make accusations unfounded and try to ruin a person, frame them, blackmail them, destroy them without the opportunity to prove innocence, without ever being found guilty of anything. Oh, Trump should be off the ballot because insurrection. Because what? Because insurrection. I'm sorry. Colorado, we're going to need you to say that a little louder one more time. Just if you could speak a little slower this time. I'm not quite making out that word. Why you are trying to get Donald Trump removed from the Colorado ballot. Insurrection. Okay, what about it? Because Trump did an insurrection. I'm sorry, Trump did an insurrection. Yes, Trump did an insurrection. Okay, that's not how, it's not did an insurrection. Yes, it is. He did it. Okay, but tell me on the doll where President Trump hurt you. No, okay, no, that's not what I'm saying. Show me where he did an insurrection. Look at the Capitol. Look at what about it? Look at the Capitol. Trump did an insurrection. Okay. Are you talking about Ray Epps pushing through the barricade? You're talking about before the crowd even left the Trump event? You're talking about that guy and the other people that were participating in that? It was an insurrection. Okay. Are you talking about the people? They went inside the building. Okay. The ones that walked around and took pictures and went in and prayed for the police in the people's house and then walked out, didn't harm anybody, didn't break anything, didn't cause any problems. Right, they did an insurrection. Okay, wait, no, hold on. You're saying the Trump supporters that were not told, take up arms and let's go get the bad guys. We're going to string them up right here. That never happened, but you're saying it happened. It happened. Look at the Capitol. Okay, well, look at the Capitol. All right. So all of the gun-owning Republican supporters, more specifically MAGA supporters, because most people think a large percentage, perhaps 50% or more, of the Republican Party is the exact same as the deep state Democrats. You're telling me all these gun owners did not take guns and did not fire a single shot that day. Yeah, that's an insurrection. That's literally the weakest insurrection in the history of insurrections, because they walked around, took selfies, and walked out, and you think that they were trying to overthrow the government. Yeah. All right. Well, I can't really say much to you because Colorado, I'm sorry, nobody ever charged Trump with insurrection. Nobody ever took him to court for an insurrection, and nobody ever found him guilty of an insurrection. So your premise is stupid, and everybody here is stupider for having listened to it. May God, you're awarded no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. I think that's like a Happy Gilmore. No, Billy Madison, I think. I mixed those up. They came out so close to each other. Billy Madison on the game show. We're all stupider for having heard you, Colorado. Please stop smoking your own supply. Don't be so high. So that's what's going on. I'm just going to tear through these stories and I'm just going to read them. They might be a little out of order, but I am going to start wrapping this show up. Like I said, out of order, but that's because, you know, I'm producing the whole show myself, and my show prep is a little splattered, a little shotgun out the back door kind of action going on. But I do go in clusters. If you see what we're finding on X and what we're resharing. Okay, yeah, I'll work my way backwards, and then I'll probably end up wrapping up on the insurrection story just because of how I tweeted this. But, you know, this is a story I got to talk about. It's, oh, actually, I don't see the story. So weird. There's a Kentucky person who says that I think they're a man, and they say they identify as a woman. Where is this damn story? It was in Kentucky. Doggone it. But this just happened. I just you need to know the levels we've reached. So there's this transgender daycare worker who has now avoided prison after you know, because all this stuff is AI. If I say these words, they might not let the show air. It's so weird. It feels like you're talking to kindergartners trying to spell things out because we're getting closer to their BIRTHDAY. It's like you can't say treat in front of the dog. A TREAT. So this person was accused of abusing a baby during a diaper change. And he now reports this Kentucky trans suspect at a daycare was given a sweetheart deal to avoid prison time. This person goes by the name of Maria Childers, and they were able to plead down the felonies to a single misdemeanor. A single misdemeanor. As a society, we have to do better. People that abuse children need to be erased through the legal system. Your state needs to amend your laws. Ron DeSantis, I believe, did down in Florida. You abuse a kid, you can suffer the ultimate capital punishment. Harsher punishment for abuse in Kentucky. Elena's law. There, I'll retweet that. I don't really know about this law, but my God, please retweet that. Yeah, this is the person dressing up. This daycare worker will receive no jail time after pleading guilty to abusing a baby. Trans activist lawyer was successfully argued that he has no access to estrogen. Court then reduces felony abuse charge to misdemeanor. Is this thing on? Are you following me here? The court reduces the charge to misdemeanor and dismisses all other charges. How horrific is this? So I had to bring you that story. I'm sorry I had to. But for the love of God, we have to do better. And you have to participate. Here's a picture. This is a meme. It's like what is the name of this guy? Is this like a Giga Chad or a Chad? It's like the guy with the beard looking left. He's got the hair combed over. And here's a person on the left. They got this flag with all the colors, and they got the communist sickle and the black power and the woman's circle and plus and the yin and the yang and Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, CNN, all the jabs, all the Black Lives Matter. I don't know what that is. That a mask? Google, wearing a mask. And he says, they brainwashed you. And he's just holding an American flag going, really? The Post says, this is from Dale, 378-44138. Part of woke neo-Marxist Frankfurt School critical theory, is deconstruction of existing systems, sex, family, justice, marriage, history, boundaries. The trans is a part used to deconstruct yet more of the young and innocent they haven't yet destroyed or ruined, designed to destroy the West and a belief in God. This was an article that was right there underneath this Kentucky story. Another way to put the headline out from ZNO, the real ZNO on X, says, the better way to say the headline might have been, Kentucky grants freedom to mentally ill pedophilic man who sexually abuses babies. Yeah, how about that? Let's start using our words. Let's start using the correct words. We have to be as descriptive as possible. And we haven't been. We've been dancing around issues. We've been tiptoeing around subjects. We've been trying to not, work things up with a libertarian friend of ours because I don't want this to get in the way of our friendship. I asked you to stop and you wouldn't stop, so I left the thread. Like I sent the screenshot. I go, in one screenshot, I stopped twice. I said, I will try to remember to stop discussing the 2024 election with you. Followed by multiple posts of you continuing the conversation. You can't continue the conversation. But look, we have to have uncomfortable conversations. And look, for the sake of, harmony, we should be able to say, look, let's agree to disagree on 2020. Let's table the topic. And I'll try to remember not to have it with you if I ever feel so inclined. And you absolutely must not be able to stomach another conversation with me about it. Remind me, can we agree to disagree on this? I don't want to get into it with you. All right, fine. But I think so much of you and your intellectual capabilities that I know you could perhaps be persuaded to realize that this is not one of those times to sit out having a bad candidate. I did ask the conversation of Dreamer, and I'll get back to his answer. He says, I guess in simplest terms, he might say to my libertarian buddy, Trump is the best opportunity to root out the corruption that we have had and may have for a long time. He's the best opportunity that we've had and that we might ever have. That's a great argument to my friend. In simplest terms, Donald Trump is the best opportunity, maybe the only opportunity of our lifetime, to root out the corruption that we have. And he might be the best opportunity that we have for a long time. And I've said that too. Like, if you let them take out Trump is uniquely qualified with screw you money. The rest of us, what? It's so easy to ruin a person. It's so easy to bribe or blackmail someone who doesn't really have any morals to begin with. Or somebody makes a mistake and then they don't want to get embarrassed and they get deeper and deeper and they got more and more on them and they sell their soul brick by brick. Brick by brick. Why don't you check out a song called One Piece at a Time? Johnny Cash. It's called Piece by Piece. I brought this up to the neighbor, and I was trying to tell a story, and this song jumps into my head all the time. By the way, if you're on Facebook, you could find TNAM Music, TNAM, for the New American Media, TNAM Music. It's a private group where we discuss this, and if they say, wow, how did you find the group? Just say, Brian invited me. Tell them the Sandman sent ya. But I was discussing this, and it comes up often, so I wanted to read it for you today, because that's kind of what I was saying about politicians. Maybe they stumble in with good intentions and then they find themselves in a jam, in a bind. Maybe they're threatened. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're just tempted. Maybe they make a bad decision and then it's downhill from there. I think that the DC swamp has seen every variety of those types of people. Malevolent people working for another team from the beginning. I would put Ilhan Omar in that list. She had comments on that last week about she's an agent of Somalia. You got to remove that person. I think Barack Obama has never liked this country and wanted to take them down a few pegs from the beginning. And he wanted to fundamentally transform this nation. I don't think he works for this country. If nothing else, I feel like you have to have a belief. If you're intellectually honest, you might not be intellectually honest, but if you are, to have the belief that Donald Trump as CEO gives a damn about this country succeeding, and that means the people in this country succeeding, domestically and abroad. Whereas most of the other politicians, you suspect that they're in it for themselves, or they've been bribed or threatened or compromised, and they've sold their soul off one piece at a time. Just one piece at a time. Little intellectual places where you let it slide. You don't want to offend a friend, so you don't even have the important conversations. I'm not saying being, excuse me. I'm not saying that you should be obnoxious, persistent, abusive, and that you consistently step over boundaries. Like if your friend says, look, I'm asking that we don't talk about this. It's going to ruin our friendship because I hate this conversation. And in fact, I've had that conversation with Blake so many times about Gaza Strip, about Israel, about Britain, Palestine. This is a region where people have been fighting for decades, where people have been fighting for hundreds of years, where people have been fighting for thousands of years, where people have been fighting for since perhaps time immemorial. I really don't want to get into this issue. I can see where there's bad stuff on all sorts of sides. And I generally tend to land on, well, things were calm until these assholes started some stuff. I know it gets tricky. Because you say, where did bin Laden come? Yep, see, they started it. It's like, well, who funded bin Laden against the Mujahideen? Guess what? To go after Russia in Afghanistan. Yeah, that was the U.S., right? So, like, how much of this is blowback? The blowback that Ron Paul so eloquently talked about, which is why they hated Ron Paul, which is why I loved Ron Paul. I still love Ron Paul. I get that. But we tiptoe around these issues. And I think every time we fail to stand up and just, what's that quote? Maybe it's MLK, that the only thing that it takes for evil to succeed is for the good people to stand by and do nothing. Well, I'm just once again making the argument that you voting libertarian, my plea to you libertarians and you RFK supporters, look, vote for your horse if you come in the top two. If you're in that final week and you're in the top two, vote for them. Whoever. Anybody's better than Biden and the Democrats. And by the way, this isn't about Biden because they might put up Obama's spouse. They might put up Gavin Newsom. They might put up Kamala Harris. They might put up Hillary Clinton. Don't write that one off. I'm already against whoever they swap out Biden for. When I say swap out, I think he's been asked to step aside. He said no. And I think the dirty Democrat deep state might take him out and try to blame MAGA for it. I hate that I'm making this prediction, but mark it down. Today, Thursday, February 8th, I'm praying to the Lord Jesus Christ or any other entity as above or so below in this realm that you protect that treasonous man so that he can be charged for all of his crimes. Because I'm concerned that they will martyr him and try to falsely accuse MAGA. Amen. But I am concerned about that. I hate to even have some of these conversations. Look, so I get where people don't want to have the same conversations. I saw Anomaly tearing into Tim Pool because Tim Pool was yelling. I think it was about Israel too. I can't remember the topic. But it's like Tim blew his lid. He's like, I'm sick of having this conversation. Well, I think it was about Trump and pushing Project Warp Speed. And look, I get tired of having those same conversations too. I had a 3-hour conversation with Anomaly. But, there's a time and a place to really dig down and become abrasive. Or just, I'll hear you out. I'll hear everything you have to say. Doesn't mean I agree. And then once again, I'm going to get to Tucker Carlson. His interview is supposed to drop in about an hour and a half. You should all be there immediately interviewing Vladimir Putin. You know why? because we should negotiate a stoppage to this nonsense and stop sending our money over there. Stop throwing human beings into that meat grinder. That's called diplomacy. Yeah, well, Trump, he talked to Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Yeah, you talk to the bad guys. Well, you can't give them a platform. You need to negotiate sanity. If you're not at the table, you can't do any negotiating. Trump did a great job of a lot of it. A lot of it. So look, I'm not saying be abrasive to your friends, but I'm saying you do sell your soul one piece at a time. And every failure to have an important conversation, and not everybody wants to play tennis. Don't hit the ball at them if they're not expecting it. And maybe I did that a little bit. I threw him a few. He's mentioned it in the past. Like, just, I don't want to talk about it. But when he said, look, I really don't, maybe you toss the ball over and go, you want to play some tennis today? Go, for the 1,000th time, I'm good, but thanks. You could stop right there. But One Piece of It at a Time by Johnny Cash. He says, well, I left Kentucky back in 49. Went to Detroit and got a job on the assembly line. The first year they had me putting wheels on Cadillacs. Every day I'd watch them beauties roll by, and sometimes I'd hang my head and cry. Because I've always wanted me one that was long and black. One day I devised myself a plan. That should be the envy of most any man. I'd sneak it out of here in the lunchbox in my hand. Now, getting caught meant getting fired, but I figured I'd have it all by the time I retired. I'd have me a car worth at least $100,000. You'll know it's me when I come through your town. I'm going to ride around in style. I'm going to drive everybody wild because I'm the only one there is around. So the very next day when I punched in with my lunchbox and the help from a friend, I left that day with a lunchbox full of gears. I've never considered myself a thief, but GM wouldn't miss just one little piece, especially if I'd strung it out over several years. Now, the first day I got me a fuel pump. Next day I got... Wait, did they cut this off? The first day I got me a fuel pump. Where's it at? There we go. And the next day I got me an engine and a trunk. And then got me a transmission and all of the chrome, the little things I could get in my lunchbox, like nuts and bolts and all 4 shocks. But the big stuff we snuck out in my buddy's mobile home. Now, up to now, my plan went all right till we tried to put it all together one night, and that's when we noticed that something was definitely wrong. The transmission was a 53, and the motor turned out to be a 73. And when we tried to put in the bolts, all the holes were gone. So we drilled it out so that it would fit, and with a little bit of help and an adapter kit, we had that engine running just like a song. Now, the headlight was another sight, but we had 2 on the left and 1 on the right, but when we pulled out the switch, all 3 of them come on. The back end looked kind of funny too, but we put it together, and when we got through, well, that's when we noticed that we've only had 1 tail fin. About that time, my wife walked out, and I could see in her eyes that she had her doubts, but she opened the door and said, honey, take me for a spin. So we drove uptown just to get the tags, and I headed her right down the main drag. I could hear everybody laughing for blocks around. But up there at the courthouse, they didn't laugh, because to type it up, it took the whole staff, and when they got through, the title weighed 60 pounds. The title weighed 60 pounds. I got it one piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime. You'll know it's me when I come through your town. I'm going to ride around in style. I'm going to drive everybody wild because I'll have the only one there is around. Ugh. Yow, Red Rider. This is the Cottonmouth in the Psychobilly Cadillac. Come on. And the negatory cost of this and the negatory on the cost of this Mochine there, Red Rider, you might say. I went right up to the factory and picked right up. It's cheaper that way. What model is it? Well, it's a 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59 automobile. It's a 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 69, 70 automobile. So there you go. How about that? You sell your soul one piece at a time. Like Johnny Cash wrote about. And every year that you're in Congress, it just gets a little easier to make a stock trade. It gets a little easier to take that meeting. Have that luncheon. run that fundraiser. But, there's strings attached. You take a bite of that steak, it's got a hook in it. And wouldn't it be great if we could maybe change the system that Scott Adams talked about so much in that tweet from earlier? The system's broken. Like, it was limping along and we just we dealt with it. But it's not limping anymore. It's blaring red. It is flashing red. Caution, warning, holy crap. And in a way, it's all because of Trump. Trump deserves a little bit of respect and appreciation for that. No, it doesn't make him perfect, because I've never seen a perfect candidate. But it makes him perfect for now. Oh, you're in a cult. Oh, for the love of God. I'm picking between the best option available. Please. This is not the time to throw away your vote on the Green Party, on RFK Jr. Now, let it be known, I want President Trump to announce his cabinet immediately. Get his people out there spreading the word, because people lose track. They start thinking that this is about the messenger. It's not about Trump. It's about the message. And the message of Donald Trump is making sense of this stuff. Getting a few wins, chalking up a few hash marks in the correct category. The other guy, they are actively sabotaging. But there's a lot of good people, got their hands interclasped behind their head, lounging back in their Barca lounge. Is Barca lounger still a thing? In their lazy boy. Is a lazy boy still a thing? In their beanbag chairs. Are beanbag chairs still a thing? What do people lounge in? What are those gamer chairs? They're called like X chairs or something. Leaning back in their X chairs. A lot of good people are sitting on the sidelines, and they're saying, "Look, my Cleveland Browns aren't in the Super Bowl. I don't care." It's like, well, you should care. You really should care. The losses being actively stacked up on the left are crippling this country. And I get that you might be a social libertarian. I respect it. I understand it. But please, this is not the time. This might be the only chance. And if you let the deep state ruin this man with unlimited resources, what do you think they're going to do to everybody between now and the end of time? It is one of the only last chances we have to pull off on this exit. This exit is doing the Thelma and Louise thing off the cliff. We got to grab the wheel and pull it over. When we pull it over, let's let it run out of gas, coast along. Then we can get more libertarian. We can get more constitutional. We can just try to level up all the areas that Trump, as a big New York City former Democrat, like, he's never going to meet your purity test. I get it. But I'm telling you, if we let them destroy him and kneecap him, we're doomed. Kenneth B. What's up, Kenneth B.? Let's see. Kenneth said, thank you for that. See, this is where normally I'd be more on top of the comments, or maybe Blake would have popped this one up when I was talking. And by the way, I'm really impressed with myself. If I could pat myself on the back there. I changed it from FU money to screw you money. I'm actively trying to soften my verbiage. I do have a tendency to reach into, you got a box of 64 crayons. I tend to reach in and go for certain cuss words when I'm trying to articulate or really nail a point home, drive a point home. Yeah, screw you money. It was supposed to be F you money. And it's like that famous line where Elon Musk, tells Bob Iger off, head of Disney. He says, F you. But I'm trying to soften that a little bit. But thanks for noticing that. Kenneth B says, about Trump having screw you money, because very few people do. What did Shaq say? There's a difference between people who are rich and people who are wealthy. I think he said, in my playing career, I was rich, but the owner who wrote my checks was wealthy. And Shaq right now, he's on every commercial. He's sitting on boards of directors. He owns chains all over. He's super smart. Him and Magic Johnson trying to become wealthy. But yeah, difference between screw you money and screw me money. You can always count on Kenneth B to have good wordplay banter. I kind of be asking if Blake had liberal roots. Yeah, I'll let Blake speak for himself. But he's said many times it's no surprise. And Blake's not the person that I'm talking about having this discussion with, this libertarian. But yeah, Blake has discussed his liberal roots. You know, a lot of those used to be the Democrat Party, especially, you know, being against George W. Bush in the 2000s and the Dick Cheneys. But, you know, that party has moved so far into a direction that doesn't make any sense. Blake hasn't been in that camp for a really long time. But yeah, Blake did have his liberal roots. Maybe we'll get Blake back for the next show on Tuesday. We shall see. Also, an open invitation to Mike Barrett to join the show. We'd love to have you on as a guest. I don't communicate with him, but it's an open invitation. Toss out there to Blake. This commenter said, "Speak alone, man." What does that mean? Speak alone, man. Speak alone, even if you're the only one there. Speak with force. Yeah, I did tell John McAfee. I just, you know, we only have one voice this time around, and I'm just trying to, as a journalist, a conscientious observer of information, I'm just trying to call it like I see it as an empire. I'm trying to see the way things should be and try to work toward that more perfect union. So I'm curious, what do you mean, speak alone, man? I'm curious to know. Kenneth says, rock the vote 2024. Yeah, they're definitely going to try to get Taylor Swift, the Swift agenda. We'll see. Yeah, that is a good way to spell Congress, Kenneth. Con, with a capital C-O-N. Congress. Shakaroni. Yeah, Mike Barra, yes, won. I think that was an exclamation mark. Yeah, I had the thought. I'm like, look, I want to start expanding. I want to start doing more consistent shows. Maybe I'll change the time frame. Maybe I'll do shorter shows more regularly. Maybe in the evening. That might be on the horizon. But I really want to go out and start getting more guests. Like I said, go back, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Please, we need to triple our minutes watched, our hours watched, rather. So if you could just go on our YouTube channel and play some videos, even if, like, dare I even say, if you're not even in the room listening to the entire episode, but a lot of our episodes are multiple hours long, but click on our top viewed shows and just listen. Maybe you'll enjoy some of these, but let them play for a few hours because we need to triple our numbers to become monetized again. Like I said, not that I'm trying to build a foundation on YouTube, but it would be nice to get that monetization back. We were there. We were there until the YouTube adpocalypse came in. Kenneth says, I can comment. What does that mean? Yes, you can comment. You always comment. Do you comment? Taylor, oh, not so swift. Now, she is kind of a genius. It's a weird story, though, how George Soros bought her record catalog and then she re-recorded her songs so that she could keep her royalty rights. She's an interesting case, and I used to not have anything against her, but so help me if she utters Joe Biden's name and tries to turn her Swifties into doofy Democrats. Look, I will have an issue with that if that's how it plays out. No thanks. All right. I think, look, I'm just going to go in order and I'm going to wrap today's show up. But like, these are all the things I thought were worth sharing. I apologize for being out of order, but go to @American_media_ on Twitter. Oh, by the way, follow Blake. He couldn't be here today tending to business, but he's at TV's Blake Walley, Walley, and The Next Level News. He and I have been making content for 10, 12 years now. So this is just important. I want you to follow this story. The House Judiciary Committee has now sued FBI agent Elvis Chan for flouting a subpoena to answer questions about the federal government's alleged collusion with social media companies to censor online speech. That's per the New York Post. Huge story. This one over here, by the way, I just want to get back to this. This is the Trump Colorado Supreme Court question from Colin Rugg. It says, just in, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who once again was falsely accused, just like Trump, just like Trevor Bauer, just like so many people, so many false accusations. We got to get back to innocent unless proven guilty. I don't like saying until proven guilty because that feels ultimate. That feels inevitable. It's not inevitable that you will be found guilty. Guilty unless proven innocent. It cannot be that. It must be innocent unless proven guilty. Not until proven guilty. Anyway, just in, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh hits lead attorney Jason Murray, who is trying to keep Trump off the ballot in Colorado, with a reality check. Quote, if you're convicted of an insurrection, you shall be disqualified from holding any office. President Trump has not been charged with an insurrection. Case closed. It should be a 9-0 ruling. This person, that seems problematic to the insurrection argument. You're damn right it does. So we'll keep our eyes peeled from when they announce that. I did play you what Donald Trump had to say about the Colorado craziness. Gave you Tommy Tuberville and Marsha Blackburn up there speaking. Showed you about the protests here. Antifa, Rose City Antifa. And this goes back. This is Carrie Kellerman Carey, at Kellerman Carey, responding to Scott Adams from what I mentioned earlier here, wrapping up loose ends. She says, that's why Trump, and this is in a nutshell, why I probably opened that can of worms with my libertarian friend again. What this lady's saying here in response to Scott Adams' post. Carrie says, that's why Trump's had my unwavering support since 2015. And I'll say even more so, I was reluctantly supportive, cautiously optimistic. But, half a year into his term, I was like, yeah, all right, I'll give it a shot. I was supporting Trump in that election. I was more anti-Hillary than I was pro-Trump. Then I became more pro-Trump, seeing all of the wrong people going up against him. I'm like, well, if the wrong people are going up against him, it's not always the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But in this case, look, if all the wrong people in the Republican and Democrat parties dislike the guy, hey, since I don't like either party, particularly, I think the Republicans get a lot of things right sometimes. I can almost never point to anything the Democrats come close to getting right. But yeah, unwavering support. Yeah, probably 2017 that probably kicked in. Halfway through 2016. I don't know. Something like that. But she says, that's why Trump's had my unwavering support since 2015. No one inside the system was ever going to fix the system. The one outsider they tried to keep out was the tip-off, that he's the one with the best shot to expose the system, break it, and give this country back to us. This person responded to Scott Adams saying, hey, Scott, can you also add Tucker Carlson into that equation? He's a very powerful rogue journalist causing anxiety among the globalists. That was very well said. And I responded to that saying, we are all Tucker. At Tucker Carlson is all of us. The new American media was created because the old American media has failed us. Make sure you're following us on X at American_media_, please. This person sent out 100%. I pray this healthy skepticism will lead to reconstruction of the institutions of our smotherment. I am willing to accept incremental positive change. Shrink the federal government. Okay. That's one reaction, but an alternative reaction that came out from the New American Media says need some very big, very important neutering corrections first. The big things must be addressed first, or else the whole new structure is built on quicksand. The treacherous deep state traitors must be eradicated completely. Make examples of the worst of them. Build safeguards. So, you can get to incremental change, but you got to fix the big stuff first. You just have to. What is this? PolitiChat responded to Scott Adams saying, Trump stepped in and against all odds and all attacks showed us that things could indeed be much better in America, thus exposing the manufactured misery imposed on American citizens by the uniparty establishment deep state. So well said. So beautifully articulated. Imagine if you raise the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar again instead of intentionally destroy it. Imagine just doing the basic thing that you would do if you ran this country for the people inside this country. You know how easy that is? That's as easy as El Salvador voting 90% to keep dangerous, violent threats locked away so that you can enjoy society again. Is this rocket science to anybody? No, it's not. So anyway, there's the Brett Kavanaugh thread. Moving on to a couple other stories here. Simon, how do I pronounce it? Excuse me. How? You've got that from me a couple of times today. I start talking and my words start running fast. It's like when your legs trip on themselves and you kind of do that spinning leg thing from the cartoons. How do you say, or how do you pronounce Simon Ateba? But anyway, maybe I said that right. He says, breaking. Best Supreme Court quote just now. That's tough to say. Best Supreme Court quote just now by Justice Kagan. Quote, the question that you have to confront is why a single state should decide who gets to be president of the United States. That's a pretty good one. Scrolling through here. A majority of the Supreme Court's 9 justices signaled that they would overturn the Colorado ruling, barring former President Trump from the state's presidential primary ballot. Will that happen? I don't entirely know if that's on the docket right now. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled. And once again, a reminder, I don't work for the Tucker Carlson Network yet. I don't know, maybe in the future. But his interview apps to try to calm down an unnecessary World War III will be airing at 6:30 on X with the Tucker Carlson Network. Disney's going to be remaking. Oh, this post is unavailable. What? Oh, that is weird. Okay, now it's up. Disney considers Ayo Edebiri as a replacement for Johnny Depp in Pirates 6. This person, this actress, for this guy who plays a guy part. Different race, different gender. I feel like there's already a character in a franchise here. What are we doing? Disney is reportedly considering her for a leading role in Pirates 6, a film that would feature a younger cast of pirates in search of hidden treasure. The character that she's being considered for is Anne, and it's possible this character could be based on real-life pirate Anne Bonny, who was an Irish woman. So please make it make sense. That's just something going on in the culture war. Disney, once again, doing what they do best. Here's a response on X in relation to the Colorado Supreme Court event going on. Dr. Dawn Michael says, do you remember when the media tried to hide this tweet from President Trump? Hopefully the Supreme Court will make the right decision today. Yeah, isn't it so interesting? When the deep state traders were in charge of Twitter before Elon bought it, turned it into X, look what they did. They shut this down and they deleted this tweet. Why would they do that? To frame him for insurrection, something he's never been charged or been found guilty of. He said, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. Jonathan Turley chimes in on this, says this is madness. President Trump has never been charged with an insurrection. The Democrats have as much evidence that President Trump is an insurrectionist as they do that he's an axe murderer. He explicitly told everyone to be peaceful. I'll go ahead and play this again. He told everyone to be peaceful and never even hinted for people to be violent. These Soviet-style tactics will fail miserably. The fact that they keep pushing this. It's like when Bill Belichick was in Cleveland, I'll stay on the football theme, kept running Eric Metcalf up the middle, Metcalf up the middle, Metcalf up the middle. The play was doomed. It almost never worked. But then he went to the Falcons and the Chargers. He's catching touchdown passes. He's like one of the most dynamic players, but you can't run him right up the middle. He's a shifty guy. Give him a little bit of space to make a move. So these people, I mean, they look, Bill Belichick hasn't found all the head coaching positions, I believe, are full. And he's not going to get another chance after the Patriots, at least this year. We'll see if someone's fired, if he replaces him, but that was Metcalf up the middle style. That's what all these insurrectionist hoaxers keep pushing. Their tactics will fail miserably because it's a terrible argument. Here you go. Trump in his own words. Did you hear that? The general tenor of this crowd was like, people showing support for Trump. People there like, I can't believe this happened, or I don't believe it. It was a mixture. It was a lot of people just of appreciation. And the crowd here, number one, the audio wasn't that great. There were a lot of people that couldn't make out what was going on. It's not like people were whipped into a frothing frenzy and they all started running down in slow motion with pitchforks and torches. That never happened. This was the message that he was giving people, to go down there to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Don't ever let somebody gaslight you otherwise. There you go. Peacefully and patriotically. So remember that, Supreme Court. Phil Holloway says, oh, here's another story. This is one that was on the books that I needed to get to. This is super creepy because there's two collusion stories and censorship collusion stories on today's stack. Where's the Amazon? Let me see if I have I went to the effort. Kenneth says we need to diss Disney. Even if Trump is off the ballet, can he still be written in? Yes. I think you spelled ballot, but I was just joking calling it the ballet. We do need to see justice. Oh, no sound. You didn't get the sound on that? Oh, doggone it. You know what I did? Well, I think it's important to the show that I give you the sound to this. Doggone it. I fell into the trap of the dreaded restream double click. It's like the discount double check. It's the dreaded double click. I had to activate the page. Let me try this again.
And don't count the electors who have been lawfully slated. Lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections, but whether or not they stand strong for our country. Our country.
So there you have it. That's what you need to be aware of.
Who have been lawfully slated. Lawfully slated.
There we go. One more time. Peacefully,
I know
patriotically.
that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard today.
There you go. And once again, that's the message I'm sending to every libertarian on today's show. I'm begging you to peacefully and patriotically cast a vote against the deep state Democrats and the Rhino Republicans. Trump is the only one on the outside of these two, demographic groups, I suppose. All right, so I hope you're able to hear that. Here's another story that I wanted to get to. This is about Amazon. This is from the desk of Jim Jordan. The Amazon files, feeling pressure from the White House. Internal docs that have been subpoenaed by judiciary, GOP, and weaponization indicate that Amazon bowed down to the Biden White House pressure to censor books. Never before released internal emails subpoenaed reveal that the Biden White House pressured Amazon to censor books that expressed views that the White House did not approve of. Is the Biden administration asking us to remove books? Andy Slavitt, a senior Biden White House official who demanded that Facebook censor a meme and true information, was pressuring Amazon at the same time. Can you believe it? These are the people that must be eradicated. These are my words now, must be eradicated from our government. Must face criminal charges for civil rights abuses. On March 2nd, 2021, Slavitt fired off an email demanding to know who he and his White House colleagues could talk to at the company about the high levels of propaganda and misinformation and disinformation of Amazon. How did the Biden White House conclude that there was propaganda and misinformation in books sold on Amazon's bookstore? The White House ran keyword searches for controversial topics such as vaccine and emailed Amazon when it didn't like how the search results appeared. Piss off. Initially, Amazon decided to hold off on doing a manual intervention to censor books. Why? Not out of any commitment to free speech, but because doing so would be too visible to the American public and likely to spur criticism from conservative media. By the way, are you rethinking your Amazon membership right now? A company that would sell off your soul? A company that would sell off your rights one piece at a time? Like the Johnny Cash song? Well, you know what happens? If a company starts selling off your basic human rights, your civil liberties, a piece at a time, well, you know what happens to Disney, ABC, ESPN? You know what happens to Bud Light? Do you know what happens to Target? You start losing your consumer base one subscriber at a time. One piece at a time. Because this was your chance to stand up and do the right thing. And what did you do? You did the opposite. I've had Amazon. I don't mind it as a service. I appreciate the shopping capabilities, the marketplace of products. I do not support what they did by caving to Biden. And it's not Biden, because he'll be gone. It's about the deep state, the Democrats, the deep state Democrats and rhinos. The ones that say, we're saying you must put this in your body if you want to work. Didn't the Tuskegee experiments teach us that people should be very wary of when the government says you must put this in your body? They gave all those people syphilis intentionally. So don't you ever tell me what I must put in my body to be able to work. That's as gross a violation as Harvey Weinstein and a young actress delivered by Oprah. Okay? Jim Jordan continues, but why was the Biden White House so upset with Amazon? Because Amazon believed retailers are different than social media communities and provided their customers with access to a variety of viewpoints. For the Biden administration, letting Americans think for themselves was unacceptable. A week later, on 21, Amazon met with the White House. Internal Amazon documents reveal Amazon's top talking points going into the meeting. One of the key questions was whether the Biden White House wanted books banned or just buried deep in the search results. You know, like when you find an article, like maybe when I'm interviewing Larry Elder, one of our most shadow banned interviews ever. Larry Elder talking about the Black family unit. Oh, they hate that episode. They hate what Larry had to say. I heard him out. I wanted to hear what Larry had to say. He had an insight and a perspective that was unique to me, new to me. I wanted to hear what it was about. You can type the names of these episodes word for word. Put the keywords in. It will not show you that we're on there on YouTube. They have thrown it down the memory hole to disappear, to shadow ban it. Oh, it's not banned, but it's banned. Oh, no. We don't discriminate against people, but we will never put you in the featured videos. We're never going to show you to people who subscribe to your content. Yeah, you're banned. So one of the key questions from Amazon was, well, do you want us to ban them outright or just pretend they're not banned but not let anyone see it? Screw you, Amazon. I am taking this very personally. So how did Amazon's meeting with the Biden White House go? On March 2nd, 2021, Amazon determined internally that it would not be doing a manual intervention today. The online bookstore set a meeting with senior Biden White House officials for March 9th. What was the purpose of this meeting with the White House? to see if the administration is asking us to remove books, or are they more concerned about search results order, or both? Why did Amazon agree to this meeting? Because they were feeling pressure from the White House. You've heard Mark Zuckerberg get up in front of Congress and kind of crocodile tears with us. Well, I was getting pressure from the CIA saying that there's a misinformation story. Remember that when they called it all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation, the Hunter Biden laptop that would have absolutely sunk beyond the level of pausing 5 states, the most crucial swing states, that Trump was leading by hundreds of thousands of votes so that you could find enough votes to flip them in the following days. Something that would have been such a monumental landslide. He could have won all 50 states. No, but 51 liars in intelligence told you that the Hunter Biden laptop had all the classic earmarks of Russian propaganda. Air quotes if you're listening. If you're from Rio Linda, California, I'm doing the air quotes. I am not a crook. It is beyond frustrating. It's an assault on everything decent to gaslight you to your face. And it's almost worse to do it without doing it. What's that scene in Pulp Fiction where he says, "Oh, I got my car keyed. I just got it out of storage." He goes, "Oh, if I could have caught the guy doing it, it would have almost been worth letting him do it just to catch him doing it." And so what's worse, getting banned and having a reason and having a human that you could communicate with and at least understand why your Facebook page was deleted, why your personal Facebook page was put out there and erased so that you couldn't communicate to people during the last election cycle? I'm not buying Zuckerberg's crocodile tears for a fucking second. Not a second am I buying it. But let's say I do buy it. These companies considering these strong-arm threats and tactics, they don't deserve your money. We vote with our money. So, Jim Jordan continues, after the White House spent a week berating Amazon, what did the online bookstore do? Starting March 9th, the same day as its meeting with the White House, Amazon enabled do not promote for books that express the view that vaccines were not effective. Wow. So if you want to blame Trump and you say, I can't vote for Trump, he's the godfather of the vaccine. And I can't even say that word because that's when our stuff gets shadow banned and flagged. Man, are they aggressively trying to stick this in you like Weinstein. Oh, anybody making a sales pitch this aggressively. It's very date rapey. Back off. I'm sovereign over me. I'm back off. That includes you, Amazon. That includes you, White House. Trump pushed to get a fast-tracked vaccine. True. To get the country open again because it was being shut down to be used as a weapon to bludgeon Trump with. Was it created just to take Trump out? I don't know. Ask Wuhan. Ask China. Ask the deep state. Ask Soros. Ask the people in the know. The NSA, the CIA. Just all the letter agencies. Ask them. But whether it was or not created to remove Trump from power, colluding with the legacy media to constantly flash these numbers at you and scare the hell out of you, and we got to shut everything down, and nobody can work, and nobody can live, and nobody can blah, 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 blah. We lived through that, and that was the Democrats that pushed that. Oh yeah, there were people like Schwarzenegger that said, we don't give a damn about your freedom. Howard Stern. I mean, there's a laundry list of people with bad opinions. And I'll even grant bad decisions by DeSantis, bad decisions by Trump, of course. But that was trusting the Faucian system that was in place, and we saw it for what it was. And shutting people down that had different opinions cost lives. lives that can never be brought back, families forever destroyed because you didn't think it was okay for us to discuss hydroxychloroquine. We're fucking adults. We can discuss whatever we goddamn well want. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin C, D, zinc, all sorts of monoclonal antibodies. Discuss it all. A government that would intentionally give people in the South syphilis in the Tuskegee experiments. Is it possible that Fauci's running gain-of-function research, as Rand Paul claims, just funding it over in Wuhan, China, and that's the same facility that allegedly released it, according to many findings? Wasn't that our own government creating the thing that they unleashed to then demand that you must take this, you must inject this or else you can't work, you can't travel, you can't have a life? I got a problem with that. And you should too. And perhaps it's worth getting off the couch, libertarians, and participating in this election cycle. Don't throw your vote away while you toss your nose in the air and say, it's Marianne Williamson. It is so irrelevant. I don't even know who the libertarian candidate is right now. Libertarian presidential candidate 2024. This says Michael Bednarik, a software engineer. Is that? No, this is 2004. I typed 2024. Sorry, that's weird. That didn't seem right at all. All right, so who's running for the Libertarian Party? Here we go. Art Oliver, Michael Rechtenwald, Joshua Smith, Mike Termott. Look, if you're going to be in this, I'm assuming you get a lot of topics correct, because I mean, social libertarianism and fiscal conservatism is these are kind of general libertarian tenets. Charles Belay, Joseph Collins Jr., Jacob Hornberger, Lars Mapstead, Chase Oliver, Art Olivier, Michael Rechtenwald, Joshua Smith, Mike Termott, and other coming in at 10%. By the way, did you see Nikki Haley? She lost in the Nevada election to anyone not on the ballot. That's how embarrassing it was. Mike Termott, like, that's not going to chart. We could really use your 0.5% in this election going against Biden, the deep state Democrats. All right, I'm going to wrap this Jim Jordan thing up here. He says, and that wasn't all. Amazon also considered other ways to reduce the visibility of certain books that the Biden White House disliked. Amazon caved to the pressure from the Biden White House to censor speech. And then there's a link here, the Facebook files, part 1, smoking gun documents prove Facebook censored Americans because of the Biden White House pressure to be continued. So there. Super important. You need to be aware of what's happening on that front. So, that was the Jim Jordan files, the Amazon files. Let's see. So that would be visible. Let me move on to this other story here. Oh, no, I guess staying on the Amazon front. The publisher for last year's bestseller on Tucker Carlson, Calamo Press's Greg Delaney, explains to Elmer Robinson how Amazon censorship works in light of the Weaponization Committee's Amazon files drop. So go ahead and check this out. It's an 8-minute video on our X feed at American_media_. So this one says here, this is AP Unfiltered. Jim Jordan releases internal documents between the White House and Amazon regarding censorship. COVID-19 gave the left everything they wanted to test out how far they could push us as a society. Yeah, okay, right there. Thank you. That is why I'm begging libertarians to get off the couch. Please, I appreciate the purity test of finding a more perfect candidate. But if your favorite sports team is not among the 2 left standing when it's time for the Super Bowl, I beg of you, pick the 49ers or the Chiefs. You can only pick from the 2 that are there. because COVID-19 gave the left everything they wanted to test out how far they could push us as a society, and you need to push back against them and vote against whoever their nominee, Biden, Obama, Clinton, Newsom, Harris, or other. Push against those Democrats right now. Also, it taught them how far we would let them shut down our ability to speak. And that is why it's so damn important, these Amazon files. I really cannot justify continuing to pay a membership to this company right now. If we do not show them what it means to cave to this type of totalitarian pressure, then we're participating in it. I totally understand how you could point out what I just said there and say that's exactly what your libertarian friend is saying. He goes, no. Don't blame. It's like the George Carlin joke. Don't blame me. I didn't vote. People say they like to get it wrong. Say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. Well, au contraire, I'd say the opposite. Because I didn't vote, I have every right to complain. You, on the other hand, participate in a system that gave us this. I get it. It's not lost on me. I simply disagree. I take that argument. I'll concede that, okay, it's a nice line. I understand how that wins you a point, but it doesn't win you the game, set, or the match. I'm just offering to play tennis. Back to the tennis analogy. Oh, this Amazon thing is for real. Ian Miller says, after seeing these inexcusable censorship efforts, you can't help but wonder if books like mine weren't promoted on Amazon because Biden White House officials pressured them into demoting or removing content critical of the administration, their indefensible views, their policies, and mandates. So it's right here, never before released emails, smoking gun documents from Kyle Becker. So check out that Amazon story, read up on it, be aware of it, and consider how you're spending your money with Amazon. I think my yearly subscription is up. I have a decision to make. This response to Jim Jordan, the Amazon file, says more evidence of the reach of the federal censorship Leviathan, not just social media, but also books on Amazon. All right, I want to get to this story here. This is another one about censorship. This is about an FBI agent now. Where's the top of this one? FBI's Elvis Chan deserves the harshest punishment for censorship. Agree or disagree? Oh, I'm gonna agree. Kenneth in the comments said pitchforks no regarding the Capitol breach. Pitchforks no. Selfie sticks yes. Was Pence proven to be a traitor? Well, let's let this whole thing play out. Let's let it all play out. If he wasn't participating by playing a role, we have some serious conversations we could have. Kenneth B saying that is digital book burning. Yeah. Absolutely. Digital book burning. Gaslighted with a Bic lighter. 100%. They lie to you. They whiz on your leg and tell you it's not raining. Not Amazon. It's Amazon. C-O-N. No, it's not Amazon. It's Amagon. Thank you, Kenneth B. Appreciate that. But back to this. FBI's Elvis Chan. Does he deserve the harshest penalties? I say yes. This from James Lynch. He says the House once again, my 4 words came out of my mouth in one blip. The House Judiciary Committee is suing FBI agent Elvis Chan for defying subpoenas to testify about his apparent role in pressuring social media companies to censor speech. They're tagging the Daily Caller. And that's good. Ivan Rakelin says every person that participated in this censorship must be convicted of genocide due to the promotion of death jabs and the suppression of safe and effective therapeutics. These are mass murderers, says this other person. So, once again, for countervailing views, go to cisa.gov/rumor control regarding election conversations. And please visit the WHO website, which is who.int, and cdc.gov for all medical issues. Also go to cdc.gov/vaccine specifically regarding vaccine-related medical claims and political implications. Do you see me reading this statement that's running at the bottom on a ticker under duress? Because if you don't say these things and have these things out there, they will censor your speech. This is madness. Yes. Brian Oughton, Elvis Chan, Chris Ray, Epps, Mayorkas, Lloyd Austin, many others make the Salem witch trials great again. Well, I get what you're saying, pitchforks and torches, but witch trials, I don't know about that, because they took innocent people and just pointed fingers and took them out. So yeah, House Republicans sue FBI agent Elvis Chan for bucking censorship investigation. So there you go. Now, this is it. House Judiciary has sued. He was the point man behind the government censorship and the Hunter Biden laptop lie, and he's being protected by the Biden regime. This is FBI agent Elvis Chan. He was the one allegedly behind the Hunter Biden laptop big lie that they say swayed about 15 to 20% of the electors, the voters in 2020. If your own government is rigging your government, you have a coup, you have an insurrection inside your own government to remove the duly elected president of the United States. And then all they do is frame him. Pelosi's in charge of Capitol security. Pelosi twice turns down Trump's request to please sign up the National Guard to protect the grounds this day. There's going to be a lot of people. She twice turned it down. She had her own daughter there filming for a documentary. Nancy Pelosi was responsible for the security that day. Ray Epps, amongst others, were the ones that breached the protocols, breached the barriers in the beginning. The whole thing stinks like a setup. And then every news channel instantaneously started saying insurrection, 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 despite the fact that Trump was never accused of that in a court of law and was never convicted of that in a court of law. They just keep repeating it. So yes, Elvis Chan, right there. Let's go. Here's another post from Alex Berenson. It says, China has laws to make social media companies do what the government wants. Any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work. The United States has Elvis Chen and Teleporter. The FBI needs to get out of the censorship business. I'm just going to tear through the rest of the stories, all out of order because we're wrapping up for today's show. This one is Hawaii has now violated the Second Amendment. This is a very important story that needs to be fast-tracked. Once again, just like this was fast-tracked to the Supreme Court, we got to get this up in front of the judges immediately. Charlie Kirk says the Hawaii Supreme Court has issued a ruling flagrantly ignoring the U.S. Constitution, holding that there is no right to bear arms in Hawaii, and any resident may be imprisoned for carrying one. Guys, this is absurd. Please, libertarians, I beg of you to get off of the sidelines and vote for one of the two teams left in the Super Bowl. If RFK Jr. or your libertarian candidate is amongst the top two vote getters at the end, please vote for that person. If not, please vote against the Democrats' choice. They have earned it. And look what they're doing in Hawaii. The same Hawaii they gave what, $600 or $700 to after those fires, those very mysterious fires, where The Rock and Oprah are out there as mouthpieces instantaneously begging for more of your money. They're not doing a damn thing to help those people. Charlie Kirk continues, the Supreme Court has repeatedly held what the Constitution obviously says, that Americans have a constitutional right to bear arms. In D.C. versus Heller, 2008, they plainly stated this as an individual right, not a collective right, whatever that is. In McDonald versus Chicago, 2010, they held that his right applies to the states. In New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, New York v. Bruin, 2020, they ruled that this right covers the public possession of handguns. It's done. This is over. This is decided. But Hawaii's court ignores all of that in favor of quoting HBO's TV show The Wire. The thing about the old days, the old days. End quote. Literally. That's in the opinion. If you can't understand that it's important to get off the sidelines and vote against the main perpetrators of the worst things happening in government, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm just publicly pleading for you to reconsider your stance on I shall not get my linens, I shall not sully my fingernails by getting in the mud and tussling with YouTube vermin. I am libertarian and perfect. I have pristine policy choices. You get things wrong 95% of the time. You get things wrong 40% of the time. I am perfect. Please get off the sidelines. Vote against the Democrat nominee this election cycle. All right, let's see. Donors to Adam Schiff will be hosting fundraisers for Nikki Haley in Los Angeles today. Haley's taking money. I guess that was yesterday. Am I done with today's show? Haley's taking money from people who gave to an individual who peddled Trump-Russia lies and wants to pack the the United States Supreme Court with far-left justices. Haley is clearly a liberal. And yeah, Adam Schiff deserves to be in jail for these lies.
For the country, what evidence
so
we have seen?
This will be my final message. I'll wrap
what evidence we have seen in terms,
if it'll let me pause and replay this. The lies and the framing. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Don't covet your neighbor's wife and don't bear false witness. Look at Schiff, lying Shifty Schiff, and this Kinzinger, these traitors. Listen to what they're saying, knowing now that everything they said was false, knowingly false. They were framing an innocent man. That's what Colorado's trying to take him out with. New York, Alvin Bragg's trying to take him out. Fani Willis is trying to take him out. The deep state, Romney, Romney, McCarthy, McConnell, Cheney, they're all trying to take him out. I'm begging you to punish the people on the Democrat Party who've been pushing all of these hoaxes, these lies, to overthrow the duly elected president of the United States, to stage a coup and seize power of the United States. Listen to everything, knowing that all of this is knowingly, intentionally deceptive and incorrect when they were saying it, because that's the fact. Here we go. Adam Shifty Schiff. Does he deserve to be in jail for these lies?
we will be putting together a report that will set out for the country what evidence we have seen to date, what evidence we have seen in terms of the Russian hacking and dumping operation, what evidence we have seen in terms of the Russian social media campaign, their paid media campaign, and yes, the issue of collusion with the Trump campaign. There is significant evidence, much in the public domain, on the issue of collusion. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in sight. But all I can tell you is, reviewing the evidence that I have, I don't think you can conclude that at all.
A 100% pure lie.
Far from it.
But you admit what you have right now is a circumstantial case.
NBC, the biggest mouthpiece of the deep state, the Democrats and the Democrat deep state. They're all scrambled together. It's the same thing, the Democrat deep state.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that. The only thing I can say is that it would be irresponsible for us not to get to the bottom of this. We really need to find out exactly what the Russians did.
Yeah, once again, all the Democrats and the deep state have been doing is playing pin the tail on Russia for years now. Against Trump and blame Russia. They've got a death wish to start a World War III with Russia. Did Congress vote for that? I don't care what the deep state voted for. I don't care what the military-industrial complex voted for. You can't declare a war without Congress. Has Congress declared a war? What's all this funding of Ukraine? Why are we running a proxy war like we did in Syria? What in the world are we doing?
For example, in that Trump Tower meeting, there was a clear intent to collude with the Russians. There was a willingness to receive Russian help.
No, what was clear is that you put the fake Russian dossier together, the Steele dossier with Perkins Coie, to get phony FISA warrants to spy on Trump and his campaign, to rig the election in 2016. And you couldn't even do that.
The president himself called on the Russians to assist his campaign by hacking Hillary Clinton's emails. Well, certainly if the Trump campaign went to a meeting with the Russians.
By the way, these hacked emails, his name was Seth Rich. And it seems pretty obvious that he was a hero. And it seems pretty obvious that he was offed by some bad people. because they were rigging the 2016 election against Bernie Sanders in favor of Hillary Clinton, because Hillary is a Putin puppet. She's a deep state puppet. They're calling Tucker a Putin puppet, a Putin puppy. These people are so stupid.
Seeking to enlist or receive the help of the Russian government in getting damaging information.
Which is what the trail of evidence and emails suggests is the case.
Yes, that would be a potential form of collusion.
We found in our investigation.
It's so stunning how consistently they will do the exact same thing that they're accusing the other person of doing. They literally project what they're doing onto Trump and try to say, no, Trump's doing it. No, you're doing it. And we all know it.
Is that Donald Trump's campaign manager was sharing internal campaign polling data and their strategy for key battleground states with an agent of Russian intelligence.
But then,
like the 51 agents of the U.S. Intelligence Services who lied about the Hunter Biden laptop, calling it Russian disinformation because they were trying to rig the 2020 election, colluding to rig the 2020 election to stage a coup and overthrow President Trump in 2020. Because those 51 intelligence officials were not telling the truth. The laptop was real and it was not Russian disinformation. It did not have all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation, and they all knew it. And you knew it. You should have known it. At least 20% of the people said they would have changed their mind had they known earlier. This shifty shift peddling bullshit.
Most pernicious, his use of his office, his abuse of his power to attempt to get an ally to help him cheat in the next election. So if that report is correct, this email disclosed to the Trump campaign the truth that the Russian government had damaging information, that they wanted to help elect Donald Trump, and it put certainly the first family on notice of all of these facts.
The way I've described it is...
You recognize how absurd this is? It's the bizarro world. And they lied to you. No, pushing it. Almost every one of these clips is MSNBC giving up. Well, you can't give him a platform. All they do is give liars a platform. This is the deep state television service on MSNBC.
There is circumstantial evidence, certainly, of collusion or coordination. Nope. There has been direct evidence of deception.
No, that was Perkins Coie and the Democrat campaign and Hillary Clinton in 2016. That's who colluded.
And I think people, I hope, got the sense today during this long hearing about just why it's so important that both Congress and the FBI do a thorough investigation.
Yeah, we've investigated ourselves and found that nothing has occurred. So anyway, these are some of the important stories that we put out. These are all ripped from the headlines right off of our Twitter feed, our X feed. So please follow our X feed. We're at American_media_. We're also on Spotify, the Agree to Disagree show. Please take a second. If you're on Spotify and you subscribe to podcasts, please subscribe. Please let some of these play to boost the numbers. But pull up a device and go eat dinner in the other room. I don't care if you listen or not. I hope you listen. But also, I'd rather you play it. Let some, because like I said, we got triple our hours. We got to get, however many, we got to triple it. So help, please. Rumble.com. I think it's rumble.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. But find The New American Media and subscribe to us on Rumble, please. Telegram. We're TNAM. TNAM in TNAM chat. That's the way that you find us there. TNAM and TNAM chat on Telegram. Let's see. Stop sharing here. YouTube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. I don't know. Where else are we? Odyssey, The New American Media. That's our backup. Patreon. If you enjoy the content that we put out, and look, we're working hard. It's just, it's hard when, with more funding, we could have more people doing more things. So if you would like to help, I believe you can sign up on patreon.com/TheNewAmericanMedia, or just search The New American Media and subscribe for monthly donations. That's awesome. Definitely appreciate that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun the past couple of days getting to speak with you on a totally different format. A little Russian dressing on the side, maybe. Did you ever see that? It was like a precursor. I don't know if the same people made it. Was it Zucker Brothers? not Zuckerberg, but Kentucky Fried Movie. Have you ever seen that? It's a 1977 film. The takeoff from cult classics. Hey, it's got an 83% Rotten Tomatoes score. Yeah, Abraham Zucker. The Abraham and Zucker. I don't know. John Landis directed. What was that? What the hell? Hold on. How did I bring that up? There was a point I was making and I lost it. I've been doing the research here. Oh, yeah. I think that was there we go. Jeez. I think there was a scene where they were at a restaurant. He said, I'll take a house salad. I'll take a steak with a baked potato and a house salad. He goes, that's excellent. And what would you like on the salad? He goes, I'll take a little Russian dressing on the side. He goes, excellent. Thank you. They keep talking, whatever. Waiter comes back, and there's a little Russian guy. And he's got like underwear on, and he's like putting on his pants, fastening his belt buckle, putting on a shirt, sleeve by sleeve, and buttoning it up, put on a hat and a coat. He had a little Russian dressing on the side. Come on, I can't be the only one who loves that type of airplane style humor. Putin pop, yes. Oh, we're less than an hour away from Tucker's conversation. Man, they've been lying to us about Ukraine for years. And remember, it was Obama, Victoria Nuland, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, that whole team, that whole cabal. They were the ones that overthrew the government in Ukraine all those years ago, 2013, 2014. Putin responding to push some of this stuff back, the bio labs and the NATO forces encroaching onto their border. Just like if Cuba was marching right up onto the Florida border, if military was accumulating on the southern border, aiming at Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, California, you get a little testy by it. And the United States Democrat Party has been pushing this. So let's tell the story. Yes, literal humor. Yeah, you should watch Kentucky Fried Movie. I don't remember it being great, but I also haven't watched it in 25 years. Yeah, Kentucky Fried Movie. That is a good one. Take a little Russian dressing on the side. Because Russian is kind of like French dressing. I guess Russian just isn't it's not a popular dressing. But yeah, it's like a red French-like dressing. I don't know how you... No, not French. Yeah, French, not Italian. Anyway, literal humor is great. But yeah, look, I want to thank you all for participating and joining us in today's show. Thank you so much. Cheers to you guys. If you're watching somewhere live, click the like button or the subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you stayed to the end of today's show, please comment Rutabaga. I need to start doing that, having a keyword of the day, so that if you're watching right now, I need to see it pop up in the chat. Type Rutabaga. I know Kenneth will try to spell it 7 different ways or turn it into a joke. But it is cool when you stay with me as we unpack the news. There's so much to talk about. I consume news all day long, trying to I consume news all day long, trying to figure out what the most important stuff to discuss with you is. And sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I go off on wild tangents and stories that go nowhere. One time we had a sack of onions as we wrapped an onion to our leg, as was the style at the time. So anyways, where was I? Like Grandpa Simpson telling a story that never goes anywhere. I don't think my stories go nowhere, but I think it was a 45-minute opening monologue, unscripted. And I think it was a work of genius. I think it was one of the better things I've done, because this isn't really me backslapping time. It's just, I've been doing shows for about a year in this reboot. I got about 13 years of shows with the Agree to Disagree show and the Unhappy Hour sports show as well. But for the greater part of the past year, I've been doing them with 1 or 2 co-hosts, guests. We had Blake Walley. Stephanie Jackson was with us for a while, trying out different formats, and it's been fun. But today, I was all over the place, but I also think I touched on all of Oh, I just wanted to add this, Bukele. I guess I did discuss it earlier today. I wove it in. I didn't need to make it its full topic, but there's a reason why El Salvador did what it did, because it's common sense. That's how the world can have thriving cities and thriving countries. Yeah, I guess I didn't really get into this topic, that Tucker acting like Putin's puppy is a threat to democracy, because no, it's not. The threat to democracy is silence and censorship, political retribution, weaponization of political departments against your enemies, your political rivals. Everything the Democrats have been doing for 2 decades, and longer, it must stop. We demand it. So no, let's hear the interview. I don't like Putin. I don't hate Putin. I don't know. Jailing that lady punk band Pussy Riot was kind of lame. But he's also been right on a lot of things too. I don't know. He's a KGB killer, right? Tell me how much blood Hillary Clinton has on her hands. I think Trump, you can only say it's like Soleimani. That was like it. We're also wondering now that there was that other Supreme Court ruling. This is a huge story I meant to talk to you more about, but that the presidents don't have presidential immunity. That one's supposed to be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court as well. But if not, isn't it time for Anwar al-Awlaki? The murder of that American citizen by the Barack Hussein Obama drone strike. Isn't it time to prosecute for that? What about George W. Bush and the war that he went to in Afghanistan because Saudis attacked us on 9/11? Huh? What about Bill Clinton and Epstein? What about Barack Obama? And everything about his administration? I mean, you probably have 30 things you could get Obama for right now. So if it's time to go after former presidents, all right, let's go. I think that'll be overturned, but when you're using the government to take out your political rivals like Obama's been doing, there needs to be justice. There needs to be political retribution. There needs to be legal retribution, or else we have no system. That's where it's like, oh, I'll take some incremental changes. Yeah, I'll take incremental changes after the foundation is jackhammered out of this nonsense. And you focus back on some of the places that really count. So yeah, Tucker acting like Putin's puppy. That's so stupid. I did, of course, mention that. This I wanted to mention as well. We should expect Mayorkas to be impeached soon. I want to show that. Agree or disagree? I will agree, because my understanding when it happened was that you had 4 turncoat Republicans that are rhinos, Republican in name only, deep state plants, compromised, blackmailed, bribed, scared, threatened, whatever you want to call it, losers. Of course, Mayorkas needs to be impeached soon, and he needs to face charges for treason. Don't make me take off my shoes at the airport if you're going to let millions of people you can't do anything unless you're vaccinated. But yeah, we'll let millions of people in that aren't vaccinated. It's almost like you think people who did get it might be in for some bad times, so you need to restock the shelves before you run out. Oh, that's a dark thought. I hope that's not true. Ugh. But of course, Mayorkas needs to face treason charges. But should we expect it? The answer is yes. Because the one guy, and I thought I tweeted that out. I guess I'd have to scroll back. Maybe that was something I covered yesterday. But the one guy that voted no, he changed his vote so that they can vote on it again. Is it tonight or tomorrow? Either today or sometime in the near future is my understanding. When Steve Scalise gets back, he had an operation or a surgical medical procedure, and he couldn't attend. So they're going to vote on it again, and it will pass. Whether the Senate impeaches Mayorkas or not is sort of irrelevant. Put them on record, because we got a campaign issue now. Any senator that is not going to remove Mayorkas needs to be primaried and removed in this election. It's time for that big red wave. But it's also time to demand that your votes are counted in person in front of you. You got to get on it. You only got a few months left, because it doesn't matter who votes. What matters is who counts the votes, because obviously the only thing that need to count are legitimate votes. And the best way to do that is to constrain the number of votes that go out and watch every vote in person with photo ID, confirming citizenship. That's how you run an election. Amazon, by the way, Amazon sent something out, I believe, to their shareholders. It was, and if it wasn't the shareholders, forgive me, but it's so close to that story. I'm just going to leave it at that. But they deemed that vote by mail votes, I don't know, for the board of directors or for the shareholders in some level, for the members or the union, they said it was too risky. They said you couldn't trust these mail-in votes. Amazon said that. You know why? Because it's common sense. You don't send out $1 bills 100 times with self-addressed envelopes back and you say, hey, I hope you return these. You have no idea who's getting these, harvesting them, returning them. God knows what purpose. Or if these people do they live at the address? Does the address have 1,000 people registered to it? Does the signature verification match? Are these illegal aliens getting the votes? Like, this has to stop on a statewide level, every state in the country. Because I feel like we would get 90% like El Salvador if we just had some sanity in the voting system. So I think that was the wrap up on the final story I wanted to cover today. I want to thank every one of you for participating. Thank you so much here at the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you once again. Oh, how did you say that? Dreamer said, root a beggar. Sir, may I have some more roots? Some roots, bear, some more roots. I'm a beggar. Beggar. Okay, that came out fine. Root a MAGA. Oh, look at Kenneth. Oh, this is great. Okay, I just really quick, I got to give Kenneth some props. 3 B's for a quarter. Do you remember what that was? How do I find it here? Okay, hopefully this is on Reddit. Oh no, I need it all typed out. I don't want to play the quote and get it. Text. Where's the grandpa story? Okay, so I decided to go to Morganville, which is what they called Shelbyville in those days. So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time. Now, to take the ferry cost a nickel. In those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Where's the rest of the quote? That one gave me part of it. Hold on. I'm going to find this, and then I'm, for real, wrapping up today's show. Oh, great find. Great job, Kenneth. Oh, doggone it. It says this one's straight from memory. That's not good enough. I need the exact quote. Okay, here's the exact quote. We can't bust heads the way we used to, but we have our ways. One way is to tell them stories that don't go anywhere. Like the time I took the ferry to Shelbyville. I needed a new heel for my shoe, so I took the ferry to Morganville, which is what they called Shelbyville back in them days. So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time. Now, to ride the ferry cost a nickel. Back in them days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 B's for a quarter, you'd say. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. The important thing was that I had an onion tied to my belt, which was the style at the time. You couldn't get white onions on account of the war. The only ones you could get were those big yellow ones. I believe that was during the time that what's his name? Conan O'Brien, former Saturday Night Live writer. I think he was hired to be on the show, but he never got in, so he just worked as a writer. Then he got his own late night show. I remember he took over Rush Limbaugh's slot. I remember I called the network affiliate to complain. I'm like, I like this show. I like this Rush Limbaugh guy. First time hearing about him. Who's this Conan guy? It grew on me instantly. But in a way, Kenneth, reading that whole quote feels like how the first 45 minutes of my show went. Very rambling. And it was. And if any of you joined halfway through, I encourage you to get to my beginning, because that was me begging libertarians to get off the couch and vote for one of the two highest polling teams remaining in the Super Bowl of politics this year. You can't vote for the Houston Texans. They didn't make it that far. You can't root for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got eliminated. The Detroit Lions aren't in the Super Bowl. I don't care who your favorite team is. I'm asking you to root for one of the two remaining teams. That's going to be Democrat, Republican. Please, RFK Jr., throw your support behind President Trump. And then Trump, please put him on your cabinet. FDA, CDC, I don't care. Put him somewhere. He has an important skeptical voice. Yeah, his voice is important. Oh, Kenneth, that was good. I got to watch that episode. But I think that was during the time when Conan O'Brien was the producer of The Simpsons. Homer Simpson, his pupils were bigger and he was dumber. And all of the stories rambled. And they had this thing where like they would extend the jokes. So like the joke would make you chuckle. And then it would be like, okay, this is dumb. And then it would make you laugh. And then it'd be like, oh my God, is this joke still going? And then like the absurdity of the fact that it's still going makes you laugh even harder. And I appreciate it, like Family Guys found that. It's a very specific kind of humor, and you got to time it precisely, but they were masters of it. Give you 5 B's for a quarter, you'd say. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. I was wearing an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time. Oh, God, that is so funny. That is the best, Kenneth B. That is the best. Anyway, but today's show has been the best for a multitude of reasons, including the fact that I'm having some severe technical difficulties, but I found an amazing workaround that I didn't know I was capable of finding until I rocked it out today. And maybe to push the limits of as far as I could, today. I gave you a wicked show. I think this was good. I hope you enjoyed it. But I will just ask one more time with all the Rutabaga stuff. If you stayed here till the end, type Rutabaga, so I know that you're part of the Rutabaga crew. But please share the show. Invite some friends. Just copy any of our recent shows on Rumble or on YouTube or something, or on Spotify. Send the link to like 5 or 10 or 100 of your smart friends. Just be like, hey, this guy does a show and he's looking for more subscribers. We would greatly appreciate it. We're battling the same shadow ban that Amazon put out there. We're dealing with it on Google. We're dealing with it on Facebook. We're dealing with it on X. It's all over the place, but you can help us break through that. Like I said, and finally, we've spent some time over the past week or two getting our Patreon page back up and going. It's still not perfect, but I still think you can just, for as little as $5 a day, you too can help an independent journalist try to decipher the bullshit that's filling a community swimming pool full of information, to sift through the bullshit and find you the gems and try to tell you what's what. Things up, roll up their sleeves and get it done. Get her done. Roll up them sleeves there and get them done. French fried taters. I reckon. All right. You like Bob's Burgers? Never quite got into Bob's Burgers, but I'm willing to give it a shot. What I've recently gotten into is Arrested Development. Pretty funny. You know, some cringy stuff, some stuff I wouldn't put in there. So some, I don't know, some Hollywood stuff I'd read. But man, it's kind of funny. I like Jason Bateman, and the show has grown on me. Season 2, 3, 4 was really funny. But I never, like, I saw the show, I scrolled past it, it never hooked me. I never gravitated toward it. I never went back for a second bite. But I'll put Bob's Burgers on my radar. Next time it pops up in a timeline, I'll watch the clip or I'll watch the episode. Maybe I'll even give it a shot and watch the series, but I digress. All right. Root for MAGA, Rutabaga. Appreciate you. I love you. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a few friends. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching the Agree to Disagree show here on the new American media, because the old American media, oh yes, they failed you. We'll be back on Tuesday, perhaps with our co-host, our special guest, Blake Walley. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe we'll switch the time. I don't know. But until then, thank you so much.